The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
If they're willing to trade their head coach to the Cleveland freaking Browns for a first-round pick, I'd have to think there's something with the goods here that are damaged. You wouldn't be the least bit nervous?
He's got this old defense who's very expensive, but they're old.
That he's had hands in picking, he's had hands in bringing in.
He's had a 40-year-old quarterback that can't move, and they're in first place in the division.
I can't believe
Tomlin.
Are you saying this and being serious?
I mean, this is actually, again, I tell you, the division looks like there could be a reset because Cincinnati might be firing their coach. This might be the time to pounce.
You'd give up one of our 2 first-round picks next year for Mike Tomlin to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I just asked you a question. I didn't really hear an answer.
The answer is no. The answer is no, everybody. My answer is no.
Who gives you more wins next year, Mike Tomlin or the 5th best receiver in the class next year?
You're a 3-win team right now. You're a 3-win team.
So which gives you more wins?
You are a 3-win. I'll say Mike Tomlin because you're a 3-win team right now.
That, my friends,
that's not champions
it's what they call in the business. Please direct your attention to the YouTube Live. A champion's pose.
Come on, you're doing this.
Champion's pose. Up your nose with the rubber hose and a...
Who is the wrestler?
This is Barry Horowitz.
Barry Horowitz.
This is not performative.
Guys,
all around 500.
This is a decimation of Ken Carman.
All around 500
in a one-on-one argument setting.
You're not aiming high enough.
We haven't had in years.
I'm not getting a new head coach to finish above 500. I'm getting a new head coach to hopefully take us to where we need to go. Deep playoff runs.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
All right. Somebody in Pittsburgh, they tweeted the show and said, "This is the best show there is."
This is the best show in Pittsburgh. No, it's like the second we got done with this show yesterday, I was texting the guys in the afternoon. I go, you guys owe it to yourself to play this. And then they must have. I didn't listen to them. I was listening to Nick and Jonathan yesterday because I ended up calling in later about a question they asked, would you rather be called a certain word or it starts with an H or get kicked in the fellas? And I said punch in the fellas, and I said I'd rather be punching the fellas, and they couldn't believe that, but it was fun. You go listen to that on the Odyssey app. It was great. I started getting tweets all the afternoon from a bunch of Steelers fans like, okay, so it must have went around. So good on them. They can't believe it. Can I throw another name in there, though, real quick before we set sail here? Did you see, now, Pony, who will join us later today on Around the AFC North at 8 o'clock, as we will go to Ken Wyman and James Rapine as well, one in Baltimore, one in Cincinnati. You know, we go to all the other 3 teams of the division. He's part of the great triumvirate of the triumvirate of reputation that is the Syracuse 3. Him, Danny Parkins, Nick Wright. Danny and Nick are on FS1. Pony's still in Pittsburgh. You have given him hell for that, not being on Mulligan Stew or whatever.
It's the one that got left behind. They closed the door.
You're out, Tom.
Yeah. They pulled the ladder up behind him.
But it's in good fun. And they're all buddies. And I like Danny, and I like Nick, and I like Pony. That's how it works. That's probably why I'm able to be so mean-spirited to Pony. But Nick had said on First Things First that John Harbaugh should be coaching for his job the rest of the year, no matter what. He said even if they make the playoffs, he should be coaching for his job. And I went, if you want to sit here and talk about AFC North coaches, we will never have this discussion about Zach Taylor. But if you wanted to have a knockdown drag-out yesterday about Mike Tomlin, I'm not going to give up first-round picks for Mike Tomlin. Then we kind of went down the line. I was like, I'll give up maybe a 4th for Mike Tomlin.
You went all the way to 4?
Yeah.
Not even a 3rd?
No. I need guys.
Think of what we have
players.
Spent 3rd-round picks on.
And I understand. You brought up Sean Payton. You're like, look what he's done in Denver. I'm like, I think Sean Payton would like to have that first-round pick. I think he would like to have it. John Harbaugh is a different animal. I'll tell you that. And the reason I say this is that I think Mike Tomlin is a fine coach. I really do. All right? I think that he can take a team that, I think a lot of guys, if they were the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the Steelers would be a 4-win football team at the end of the year. He'll probably approach 500. He's able to squeeze some blood out of a stone. He's just not able to get over the hump without, some great players. A lot of guys are like that. But I think he's better than your average coach. I think he's been good for them for a long time. John Harbaugh, though, has proven he's willing to change a lot of things and has zero ego. And I know that's an operative word on our show, the ego thing. He has zero ego. He's willing to think outside the box. He's willing to do things that he knows is going to help his players. And I think that's a huge deal. If he were to be available, I will continue to say, like I did 6 years ago, I will go out there and I will pull him back here on a rickshaw from Baltimore, Maryland, or Owings Mills, Maryland, or where the hell they're at over there. I will bring him here personally. Now, I know it probably wouldn't happen. Both guys have been head coaches for so long that they probably go, you know what, I'm just going to wait it out for a minute maybe. But I'd be open to either one of them. But I'd be very, 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 very open to a guy like John Harbaugh. I don't like giving up picks on a team that needs young players for a new coach. But if you want to have that fantasy, if Nick Wright's saying that he should be coaching for his job, I think part of it is that some of us, we don't know how to take the AFC because the AFC has been pooped this year. And there's a lot of teams there that just have these terrible, terrible, terrible flaws. And I think they're in this race to try to make these flaws at least mediocre so they can go and get into a telephone booth fight in the playoffs. And I think there's going to be some ugly games this postseason. That pointed out there, if one of these organizations makes a bad decision and just gets rid of a good coach, if we're looking for a new coach, if we are, which I still don't think they really want to, but who knows, by the end of the season, if the results are the results, to give the fans some blood, they might have to do it. If you wanted to go after one of them guys, I am definitely down with John Harbaugh.
I think they both have to
100%.
be on the radar. I think the obvious question would be, would either of those guys want to coach here? And would Sean Payton have wanted to go to Denver? They were in a bad state of affairs, so you never truly know. But I'd take either. They'd both clearly be on my radar. I think they're both really good coaches.
Yeah, I think that it goes that way with either of those guys. But I thought I looked at that and I go, okay, that's starting to we're starting to say some things because again, I think that there's so many things that are normal about this league that's been this way for the last how many years. And now you're looking at these teams, and I think that this is what makes us a little bit more frustrated than others as fans, is that you've had these games where you could have won, should have won, this, that, and the other. It's a bad conference this year. It's down. Kansas City, we don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. They've been clunky. The running game overall hasn't been that great. There's a lot of things that you can get into with these teams. It's like, man, if you just were more disciplined, if you just had your druthers on offense at all and weren't an historically bad offense, I mean, we might be telling a different tale here. And I think that a lot of teams are kind of like that. They're just got better records than us, and I think it's starting to make their fans feel a little bit crazy, and it's starting to make us in the media think a little crazy on this, which I think some people are going to think I'm crazy. Daryl had the story about the stadium and that they've come to the agreement on the $100 million, and city council, the city of Cleveland, everybody's going to drop their lawsuits. Kucinich is still out there yelling about keeping them in Cleveland, but either way, the Browns are going to move to Brook Park. And I saw in the fine print that when they demolish the stadium, the team has the rights to memorabilia to sell. And I think Mitch had said, so they don't need to go in there with a bunch of saws and everything. Well, they're not getting past the gates with saws anymore. This ain't 95. Things have changed in America. But you can buy seats from Huntington Bank Field coming up when they finally move into the new stadium. They're going to break ground, it says, early 2026. They'll move into the new stadium. They're hoping before kickoff 2029. You can buy. And we were around the room on the phones, and it was like, would you buy anything? And I kind of kept quiet. I want to go with you guys. Would you buy anything from this stadium before they move into the new stadium as a memento?
Probably not. I'm trying to think what I would want. Old Lima would have stolen a bunch of stuff already from the stadium.
Okay, well, you can't advocate stealing. Now you're a 44-year-old man.
Now, Old Lima, like when I was in my early 40s. Oh. But no, I was there at the opener. I was there the very first game, Amp Buzz. It was
you were there in 99.
It was like either a birthday.
I remember that.
Yeah, it had to be a birthday gift. Expensive too. I mean, worst seats in the house. We had absolutely some of the worst seats in the house. And we were so excited. And I remember I had chills for the opening montage and Drew Carey running out there. And then it was exactly what you'd expect an expansion team in game number one, set up the way the Browns were. I think they lost 43-0
or 7 or 43-7 or something like that.
Terry Kirby was our running back and had like 10 yards.
Did you see Drew Carey come out on the field and everything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big deal because we didn't know. It wasn't like today where everything gets leaked on social media throughout the day. We had no idea. Halle Berry, could she be out there at midfield? No, it was Drew Carey. Which, looking back, mixed emotions because Drew doesn't seem to really care that much about the Browns anymore.
How long did it take? Well, I don't think he likes the Browns anymore. I don't know if he likes pro football, but he certainly doesn't like the Browns anymore. How long did it take for you to get good seats real quick?
Man, at that stadium, it was a long time. It was after college. We had a friend whose parents had good seats. That was it.
Because my first Indians game, I think, was 96. And we were in the upper deck for a few years. I don't think I sat lower bowl until maybe I got the job at night.
You couldn't, though.
In college, my buddy Jake came back from the Army, and his parents got us lower bowl tickets to go see them play the Red Sox. I remember that was the first time I sat lower.
It was impossible
section at
it was impossible
Field.
Just to get tickets.
Oh my God,
to an Indians game.
Well, yeah, there were a couple times we were right up against the chain link at the top because it was impossible. And it's like lower bowl, that's a different class. And then anything in a suite, it's like, well, you got to be George Voinovich or his son to get in a suite. That wasn't going to happen.
When playoff tickets became available, the way they sold them through either Ticketmaster or whatever back in the day, I remember people had to wait in line.
My mom got on
physical line at the grocery stores or whatever.
Or you had to sit on hold and hope that your call would go through. That's how that had to go. Now, I mean, it's $4 to get into is it $4 to get into the Cavs game tonight?
I think it's pretty low.
There's a different conversation to have about that later on. Owen, would you buy anything from this stadium?
No.
Okay.
An RC Cola machine.
But Owen's not from here.
Yeah, I have no sentimental, and I'm not I didn't grow up a Browns fan. So.
I got to tell you guys, when they move to the new building, I do want a couple of seats from the 537. I want a couple of seats because I don't know why, other than my uncle, he had seats from the old stadium. Got legitimately. He didn't cut them out with a saw, which they probably would have been higher in value had he cut them out with a saw. It's a better story to tell.
It is much better.
He had 3
jagged
seats
edges
from the old stadium. And my uncle was a bit of a obsessive compulsive pack rat in so many ways, and when he passed away, had 3 different garages full of things, cars, the whole deal. And he had these 3 seats, and we auctioned off his stuff in the summer after he passed away, in the spring after he passed away. And I remember telling my dad, I must not have made a big deal about it, like, don't get rid of the seats. I want to keep the seats. I'm going to keep the seats from the old stadium. And I went to the auction, and it was like Billy Madison, somebody else got the seats. And I went, you weren't supposed to sell the seats. He goes, yeah, but you had all this other stuff. I can't have you keeping all this stuff, Kenny. You're 17 years old. You're going to be moving out of this house. I don't need to hold on to your crap. Like, that's what he basically said. I'm going.
But that's the crap you wanted, yeah.
I'm going, these seats, I'm not going to be. And so now it's kind of like I want my seats. Because I only got to go to the old stadium a handful of times. I've been to this stadium more times than you can count, and probably for a lot of people, more times than you care to count, considering the history.
Honestly, it is fairly, throughout my life, fairly common to go into, back then, the college houses, but even today, maybe people still have them proudly displayed, but the old municipal seats, I still see them. Whether it's, out in somebody's barn or a bar, a makeshift bar they have set up, a tiki bar.
Bars.
Yes, I still see those yellow, different colored
I can fit
seats.
In these seats. I probably couldn't fit in the old seats. Those were made for a different generation there. They didn't have quarter pounders back then and things like that. It was a different time. Me, I did. So I could fit in these seats. I don't think I could fit in the other seats. And I want a few seats from the 537. How many seats are in section 537? There has to be
enough for you to get a few
thousand,
a
couple thousand. So I got to be able to get a couple, right?
Yeah, I mean,
3.
How are you going to know they're from 537 though? They're not going to say 537 on them.
Well, in that last Browns game,
I spray paint the back and make sure that I know, and then I buy them and then repaint the back of them orange, and then we move on. Can I do that?
Each individual one is going to have to be, specifically
marked
in some way.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to allow, like that last game at Municipal. I do not think they're going to allow people to bring in devices.
No
hacksaws coming in.
You have to have a clear purse anyway. They're not gonna, You can't bring in nothing to take anything out of there.
Back then, you could get away with some stuff. Imagine what else people were bringing into the stadium.
There will be some guys who get tuned up and they'll try.
A lot of starter jackets back then that were puffy and could.
I just realized how awkward that game's going to be in 2028. Because I don't know what their record's going to be.
If they're bad, if they're really bad, now if they're good, then everyone will want to be there.
Yeah.
But if they're bad, there'd be a boycott.
I can't think of much else. I can't think of very much else.
They're not going to let you unspool signage.
I bet dog pound benches will go for a lot. I bet there's some families who've sat in the dog pound since '99, and I bet dog pound benches will go.
Well, because those are the people that had the dog pound seats at the prior place.
Yeah.
But what a difference.
Yes.
What a difference. That old dog pound, you kids could never even fathom. They've tried. There have been some people that have tried to hold on over the years to some of those traditions, but
a different time.
It's just not the same.
It's a different time. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll go around the AFC North. There's something else about these $4 calf seats I want to bring up with you later on in the show. And I think they can say no. I think it's almost impossible to say yes. I'm not going to make a lot of friends here in 5 minutes on the Fan. I'll tell you how I'm going to make a lot of friends, though. Window Nation.
look at those cabinets and go, oh, what are we doing here? Time to upgrade your cabinets. Choice Cabinets, 60 or 70% off of retail because Choice Cabinet is the manufacturer. ChoiceCabinet.com.
Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
7 o'clock, I got to try to make sense of this, something that's senseless, because it's just, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. It just ain't sitting right. And I heard the other shows talking about it. I got to get more of it off my chest coming up at 7 o'clock, because something with the Browns is squirrely here, and I don't care for it. 216-474-0092. So Mary Kay was on with the Midday Guys yesterday. The stuff about Dylan Gabriel didn't set a lot of people happy. I think a lot of us know that, he's probably not going to play this year if they can. But there was also, you kind of come to this thought, and this isn't going to be a very popular thing with a fan base out there, but I see 5 more games left. And I think it's very, 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 very easy for the Browns to say no. Because I brought this up yesterday, and it's just to me, it's a succession of hard truths that people don't want to hear. Where if you fire Stefanski, I do think that's the worst thing for Shedeur. Because I think that new people will come in here, and I don't think he has enough time. I don't think he has enough time to get to that place where people go, he starts the season next year for the Cleveland Browns. I hope I'm wrong about that. I just don't think it's good. I think this Sunday's his best chance. After that, I think it could get very squirrely very quickly. Cincinnati has a bad defense. I understand that. Your defense is much better than the offense for the Tennessee Titans. Our offensive line is absolutely putrid, and they have a rookie quarterback in their own right going. So Myles Garrett, he may set the record coming up on Sunday, for crying out loud, so you might as well go on over there and see it. You have these things that just go against you to say that, yes, he's definitely the guy going into next season. Yes, he's definitely that guy. And I brought up about Stefanski, and I thought, man, I think it's so hard for them to say yes as an organization, and especially if they fire people, especially if they move on from Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult for them to say, yes, he's our guy going into next year. The only thing that I think you can do is win games, which, okay, he's 1-1 as a starter. You can win games, all right. Take yourself out of the running for one of the top guys going into next year, and he's got to play exceedingly well during that time. Because as a guy who's a later round draft pick, no matter what fans think of him, because I look and I go, guys, he's definitely not playing like a 5th round draft pick, but he's not playing like a 1st round draft pick. And because you're not playing like a 1st round draft pick, I think that there's going to be a lot of things where it's just going, we got to move on. We're going to move on to something more competitive here because this isn't a preschool. We got to get going. And I just don't think he's going to have enough time to prove himself that way. Again, guys, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to not have to worry about this position any further than this year, but I think we're in this quagmire here, and I don't think it's going to end necessarily great.
This week is a big opportunity for him because after this week, it's back to normal.
Yes.
It's normal kind of healthier NFL defenses for 3 weeks, because you've got Tennessee this week, and then after that it's Chicago, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh week 17. We'll see how healthy they are, but it's still Pittsburgh. I mean, we know what Pittsburgh does to Browns quarterbacks, no matter who is on that side. So, the last 2 weeks, John Greco called in yesterday. He said it, and some of the numbers kind of back it up that the offensive line the last few weeks has been as good as it's been all year. And I know some people will say, well, it hasn't been that good. Well, it hasn't been good all year. But the last 2 weeks, quarterback has had time to throw, and Shedeur has done a nice job of being able to kind of, drift out of the pocket when he needed to create some more time. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, him and the wide receivers, that hasn't been enough time to buy big-time completions outside of a few. Mm-hmm. But he's had some time to throw. It's not like he has been under duress. And I think the 49ers only blitzed once, and they really didn't get home, much at all until the game was, a multi-possession game in the second half when they were, at that point, teeing off. They knew, at that point what the Browns had to do, which was throw the football. but they really didn't get home all that much. The week before, the Raiders, they didn't get home at all. So this will be it. This will be the last opportunity to really, feel comfortable, because I do not think he's going to be comfortable at all against the Bears. I think that game could be a train wreck. Unless he just starts to, it all starts to sink in.
Is 5, I want everybody to be honest with each other. Is 5 games enough? 5 more games, that means he'll have 7 altogether. But is 5 more games enough for it's a yes? Is there anything that they can really do?
He would have had, the only way it's
he will have to be superhuman over these next 5 games and overcome so much.
Yeah.
He has to overcome they're playing musical linemen. More on that coming up later on. Because, again, it just doesn't make sense. Something about it doesn't make sense. I'm going to try to make sense of it. They're playing musical linemen. Wide receivers aren't that good. They're definitely off on the different page. Jerry Jeudy has just started his complaining. There's so many. Their special teams put you in a terrible position, by the way. You're starting drives at your own 5-yard line, for crying out loud here. There's so many things that are going against you that he has to overcome. And if you fire the coach and the general manager, I think they're just going to, we love to do different philosophies here. I think they're just going to wash their hands of everything.
Yeah, look, there have been a few guys in the league that have been able to overcome a lot of, what should be problematic situations. Obviously, Jaden Daniels was the one last year in his rookie year. You could see it right away. You could tell. CJ Stroud, that rookie year, you could just tell instantly, oh, okay. That to me, Shedor's looked like a later round pick. That's what he's looked like so far. I've seen him flash a little bit, which is why I think it's obvious he should be starting. At no point, Kenny, am I sitting here going, well, they should go back to Dillon.
No, God, no.
And by the way, I'm not being fair to Dillon either, because no quarterback's identity should be carved out in 5 starts.
No,
in a rookie year on a bad team.
But if I'm going to somehow get an idea of what we're going to go into next year, who's going to give me a better chance? It's going to be the guy with the higher ceiling. It's going to be Shedeur. I think that if there's anything that's been cleared up through any of this, is that if you're going to take a flyer on a quarterback, Shedeur Sanders certainly should have been drafted higher than Dillon Gabriel. Is that a problematic thing to say? No.
To me, it feels like that. But I do think there is something, and I think we've seen it in 2 weeks, and I think the film studies have kind of showed it, that, and this is okay, this isn't the end of the world, but that Shedeur wasn't ready. I think now he's been able to get guys lined up. All that stuff seems now far-fetched, right? Uh-huh. He's been able, outside of the Jerry Jeudy, whether he was set or not, that kind of stuff. And no, I don't expect Shedeur to have had to be the guy to call timeout either. He's not a veteran quarterback on that 4th and 1 when they didn't have the right personnel running guys onto the field and they were discombobulated. I didn't hold that against him either, nor did I hold him missing one Jeudy throw down the middle. That's fine. Quarterbacks are going to miss throws into the wind. I didn't kill him for that either. But I do think, now that the All-22 is out, and there almost seems to be a pretty big consensus that, yeah, he's just not seeing things. He's much like you would expect a 5th rounder to not see things.
So
he probably wasn't ready to play and have command here in his rookie year. Most rookies aren't. Yes. That's okay. It's okay to say it, Shedeur fans. It's okay to say your guy might not be ready. Patrick Mahomes says he wouldn't have been ready his rookie year. Patrick Mahomes is a 1st-round pick. Lamar Jackson admits that first year he was just kind of running around.
But that's what I'm pointing out, is that you're in a tough situation. Your offense is no good. Okay, you've changed play callers, which again, it's Tommy Rees calling the plays there, but I heard again more callers saying about Kevin Stefanski's offense. I go, I understand that they might have similar philosophies here, but Tommy's the one calling the plays, guys.
That's because it doesn't look any different, right?
Because a lot of it is just the components that you have just ain't gonna work out, and you can't stretch the field because your guys don't know really where to run whatsoever. And then you have a rookie that's throwing to him that, again, I can just keep going down the line of reasons why this would not be very successful. And that's part of the issue that I have, is that I don't think there's very much anything they can do realistically that would say he's the guy, other than A, absurd love for Shedeur Sanders, or B, an unhealthy fear of bringing in another quarterback for the Cleveland Browns going into next year. That's the only things that I could think of that would detract you, and neither of those things are realistic. Being afraid of quarterbacks isn't a realistic thing to do, and being that over the moon about Shedeur Sanders isn't a realistic thing to do because I have to think about what's going to be good for the football team. We're at the end of 2025. I can't just go sign up for 17 more if this is what we're seeing. I can't do it because I haven't been able to really stretch the field. There's been a couple of big plays, obviously, but any sort of actual threat to stretch the field isn't there. Any sort of actually running or moving the football isn't there. We complain about them not running or them running the ball too much on first and second down. The reason they run the ball too much on first and second down and why they don't really want to throw it is because they don't believe that he can throw behind the sticks. So they don't want to risk putting him in a sack and making it 3rd and 17.
And then that's it.
And then that's it. They don't want to have to do that because then, and as we saw on Sunday, I think that we've said this about so many other young quarterbacks for the Browns, he starts to try to throw a touchdown pass on every single pass. And that becomes a problem for everybody involved, including him. So I got 5 more games in. I need to know what he can do to hold on to the job to where we're just not talking about different people next year altogether. That the conversation about the quarterback is about a quarterback that's not even on this football team right now. The coach is not even on this team right now. The general manager isn't even with the organization right now. I need to know what they can do. Because, again, the better that Shedeur were to do in these 5 games, the better it's going to be for Kevin Stefanski. And so the only way I think that he is the starting quarterback next year is if you really have the same group of people, the same head coach and the same general manager. It's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth.
Well, then that's the Shedeur fans are probably thinking, then this thing's hopeless either way. Because if you're telling me he has to go find a new home and 5th rounders do not have a lot of success in having any kind of priority going elsewhere if it doesn't work in the first year. And then, you're telling me I have to come back with the coach that I don't like in terms of his fan base. I don't know how Shedeur truly feels. He did back him up, in the press conference.
I don't know if he doesn't like him or not.
No, his fans have said he does not like him and vice versa.
Well, I can only go by what he says. I think if we spend a lot of time putting words in his mouth, I think that's a very dangerous thing to do, and I don't think I want to do that. 216-474-0092. Is 5 more games realistic to make a decision on Shedeur Sanders, and what's he got to do to keep this job? And coming up at 7, something stinks on that offensive line, and I got to figure out where the smell's coming from on the fan.
XTENDAV.com.
from December 13th to the 21st at Severance Music Center. Tickets are available at clevelandorchestra.com.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan.
Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
So this is one of the things that I'm getting here, and I want to agree with Real Xavier P. The only pushback I have on Shedeur Sanders not being ready is that he has to look like prime Tom Brady for people to give him a chance. People are judging him as a vet while other rookies are being judged like rookies. Think about how we judge Dylan. It's not the same. I totally agree with that within our circles. I think that there have been a lot of people who are Shedeur fans, and I think there's a lot of people who have gotten in that fight and they've become anti-Shedeur because of that. They've gotten in personal arguments with people, and so he has to look superhuman. And I can't just look at him and go, hey, he's a fifth-round pick, and my goal for it would be, if, say you win a couple of more games this year, say you beat Cincinnati, say you beat Pittsburgh, say you beat Tennessee, I mean, you win 3 more games all of a sudden, 3-9 ends up being 6-11. That's not too terribly bad. Of course, you end up with 6-11. I don't know. The guy you guys all want fired, I don't think he's getting fired, but we can cross that other bridge at another time. If you end up at 6-11, you could look at there and go, okay, let's go get ourselves a veteran. Or your veteran might end up being on that football team already. We know what Mary Kay told us 2 weeks ago. But either we go get a veteran or we let the other veteran play. Let's see where this goes. We had to get to the end of the year. You could possibly make the argument to start the season with him next year. It's just, to me, it's just not realistic. And if you're not going to be beating those teams, because I think that your own team is going to get in your way. You got in your own way against San Francisco. That in the NFL circles, they've wanted to wash hands of other good players that you've had. I think they would want to wash hands of everything that you have here.
The argument is that because Cam Ward, I am seeing takedowns every day at Cam Ward. But the difference is,
see, I am not. I'm seeing patience with Cam Ward. I'm seeing patience.
Well, he's a number 1 overall pick, so that does buy you, obviously more time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where even if like a new regime came in, I mean, it's very rare. Josh Rosen, in 1 year,
Dr. Rosen,
they gave up on him, right? But was there a regime change there or whatever? Either way, they went back-to-back quarterbacks taken in the first round, but that is not a frequent thing. That doesn't typically happen. Johnny Football was out in 2 years.
I believe there was a regime changer. I think Steve Keim was let go in between, but I'm not necessarily totally sure.
So
they also have the number 1 pick the next year.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's true. And now Tennessee is going to be faced with that again. But there has been it's hard for me to say there's been enough with Cam Ward, but I feel like I've seen enough splash plays that they're going to believe, we can't just give up on this in a year. Shedeur, he was never really supposed to play this year. Now, as you find out, like he just wasn't. I don't know. The Browns have tried to make that abundantly clear, but because they're the Browns, everybody plays for the Browns no matter what. So you can have all your plans.
Yes.
And you just have to set them aside.
They'll throw them out the window
because they blow up all the time. And this why this is going to be a big game for him. But this was the downside for him, unfortunately, of falling to the 5th round. You don't get a lot of second chances as a 5th round pick, no matter how. And the fact is, and people are going to hate to hear this, his fame, I do think in this case, could hurt him get another opportunity.
Not with radio, but I think with NFL circles, absolutely. I think with NFL circles, absolutely. They told you, and he's got to fight that. And I think that this is why Sunday might not have been his biggest damn game, because you're going right up against the number 1 overall pick, a guy that you were
at one
point were working out with, and people thought that you were either going to be picked right behind him or very, very close. Plenty of people made the argument that he should have been picked over him before that draft. I mean, I think everybody has the receipts on that. He could do a lot for himself on Sunday, and they could do a lot if they're able to do it. But I think it's going to be a very difficult task to do because his team gets in his own way. Your team, your offense, your special teams get in your way. And I think it makes it that much more difficult for him because if you want him to be successful, you are fighting fate in so many ways. And it makes it much more difficult and much more unrealistic. That's why I'm going, what does he have to do to get to the end of the line against Cincinnati? Win, lose, draw, whatever. Because I think for a lot of folks, And I've said I'm never going to root for them to lose. I'm never going to be happy that they lose. I can accept it and understand, like, hey, we lost a game and the quarterback played well. I think that that's a realistic goal for a lot of fans. Their realistic goal is that, yeah, maybe we don't win. That sucks. We'd like to win. But the quarterback played well. We've done that with other quarterbacks before. We can do it with this one. Certainly, hell, I'd be willing to do it with Dylan Gabriel, even if that were the case. If the young guy plays well and they lose, that's something that we can accept. I don't know if that's even going to happen because I don't know if they're going to put him in positions to be successful because, again, your special teams messed you up on Sunday. Your offense messes you up. Your wide receivers complain to your face about things. And we could sit there and say it's just football, but it's not. In so many ways, I have to have an incubation period for the guy, and I don't have that this year. So I have to figure out, because there was going to be you bring up Mahomes, there was going to be no regime change between Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. It was still going to be Veach. I know John Dorsey was gone, but we know who Andy Reid is. There was going to still be Andy Reid. It was still going to be there. You're going to bring in other people. If it doesn't go well, you're going to bring in other people, and then you're going to buy in to their thoughts and their opinions, and a lot of guys are going to go, and that includes the quarterback room, because we know how the NFL thinks about that, and we have to change that thinking in 5 games, and I just don't know how he can do it.
Well, that's why the Tennessee
he has to do
game,
something that I haven't seen in the first 2.5 games of him.
Yeah, well, he's done a little bit, right? The flash plays,
little bit.
There've been like 3.
There's been flash plays.
And
nobody says he can't throw the ball.
Yeah,
he's got accuracy. He's got a good enough arm. No one's out there saying he's playing with 2 arms missing.
No.
He's got those things. But is that going to be enough for this organization, a new head coach or a new general manager, to invest in?
Well, and this is where it gets interesting. This week, actually, I know a lot of people around the NFL are just going to kind of skip past this game, as unfortunately has been the case with the Browns this year, even with Shedeur. But Shedeur does have
that bothers me in another level.
Does have more people making their games on the radar. But just look at it pound for pound. Obviously, we know who has the better defense. So Browns defense has a chance to set up Shedeur in a big way this week. Browns have a better running back than anything that the Titans have. Believe it or not, the Browns actually, this is the game that they have the better pass catchers, because you've got the tight ends, and you have a disappointing Alabama wide receiver. They've got a disappointing Alabama wide receiver, but yours is better. Calvin Ridley, I think, has had 2 catches the last 5 weeks. So, you actually have the better supporting cast this week. So it's kind of a no excuses game for Shedeur Sanders. He's got the better offensive line. I don't think anybody could debate that. As poorly as we think our offensive line's played, it's better than what Tennessee has. You've got a more stable coaching situation, believe it or not, than what they have. So this is kind of a no excuses game against
Mike
Campbell.
McCoy? Is it Mike McCoy who's there in it? It feels like he's been there interim like 18 times or something. Larry in Cleveland. Hello, Larry.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
How you guys doing?
We're doing okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So I think Shedeur should get more time. I mean, it ain't like he was getting reps with the first team. And, I mean, what does he expect it to look like? I mean, he's a rookie. So my question is, okay, well, if we don't want Shedeur, who do we want? I mean, we talking about Mendoza and Moore, but, I mean, what have they done? And what did they do the year before Shedeur came out that made them so special? We weren't talking about them the year before, so why are they so special now? I just think we need to cut the brakes and, like, take some time and let the guy develop. I mean,
do you believe that there's a head coach or a general manager out there that, as of right now, as of December 3rd,
Mendoza could win the Heisman?
We
act like he's having a bad year.
I'm not trying to argue Larry personally here. Larry, you and I got to separate it. There's a difference in what the fans argue about and what the NFL is believing here. I don't think there's a general manager or a future general manager or a head coach as of right now. I hope that he turns in something superhuman and we can go get other positions. I don't think there's anybody in the NFL who's going to take over right now who believes that he is better than Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore or Ty Simpson, for that matter.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, everybody got their own perception or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, like, everybody ranting and raving about these guys in college, and they're not in the NFL either. So when they come here and they don't look good for the Browns like everybody else does, and then we having the same conversation again next year, like, come on, guys. Like,
Absolutely.
That don't even make sense.
Absolutely. Until it gets fixed, we will continue to have these conversations. And it ain't fair, but it ain't going to be fair to Shedeur. It certainly wasn't fair to Dylan Gabriel. It wasn't fair to Baker. It wasn't fair to Brady Quinn. It wasn't fair to any of these guys on that jersey. But that's the situation you're living in. And so you got 5 more games to convince them, you're going to have to win, to convince them that, yeah, you can go ahead and start next year with him. I would love for that to happen. I'd love to take 2 other guys. I'd love for this position to be fixed. But I think you're seeing a team that has been obsessed with that position since forever, and they're going to do what's necessary to go get it, and probably going to do necessary things to go make sure that they get the young guy out of the draft. 216-474-0092. We got About Last Night coming up at 7:45 around the AFC North. Almost said Daryl. Daryl's on Friday. James Rapine, Andrew Filipponi, Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. They'll join us when we go around the AFC North at 8. Dan Wetzel in the College Football Playoff Committee. Did you see what Bruce Feldman was tweeting yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Dropping F-bombs. I want to see if we have to dump Dan Wetzel coming up at 9:20. Coming up in 5 minutes, this Wyatt Teller stuff, it doesn't make any sense, and I can't help but try to make sense of this thing. Trying to make sense of Brown's nonsense coming up in 5 on The Fan. Peter and Company, Julie.
On 92.3 The Fan from the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Probably along the lines of not playing well enough. I mean, I feel like that's obvious, but yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that, as a personal player, I need to improve on.
That's Wyatt Teller in the postgame Sunday. Browns lost, obviously, to San Francisco. We're turning, getting ready for the Tennessee Titans. Wyatt Teller will not play against the Tennessee Titans. They said he had a calf injury.
Who said he had a calf injury?
Brown said he hurt his calf. Kevin Stefanski said he hurt his calf.
Yeah.
Said he hurt his calf in the fourth. But he said it was a performance issue. Something ain't right. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make sense of the nonsensical. Because I think Wyatt's been a fantastic lineman for this football team. And I think I don't want to turn Tevin Jenkins into a bad guy or anything, or a villain. He could end up being a good lineman. Because I'm starting to wonder some things here. This whole thing seems goofy. Do you have any theories about this before I move on with this? Before I get my two theories that are possible?
The only thing I was wondering is if they thought he was playing poorly and it was because of an injury. Then they were trying to protect him. I
think that's what Albert Breer kind of kicked around yesterday.
That is what John Greco, kind of alluded to.
He said he grabbed at his leg yesterday.
Well, and he said that maybe they're trying to protect him from injuring himself further with us yesterday.
Okay.
But that's all speculation more than anything. I don't think anybody knows anything for sure on that.
And you saw this. He graded out higher. It's just PFF, but he graded out higher
highest Browns player.
And I thought it was a good offensive line performance.
So I remember this. I don't want to bog it down too much, but I remember doing Tony Pashos radio years ago and ripping Tony Pashos and finding out that Tony Pashos was basically playing with a broken shoulder and a broken leg at the same time and feeling like a piece of garbage for ripping the guy every single Sunday.
He was always in a walking boot.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what you get. You gut it out and try to play, and you get ripped by radio.
Yeah, you get ripped by some kid on the radio at the time. And I remember feeling that way. So it's if a guy's battling injury, I'll always say I think he's battling injury. I'm not hearing anything from Wyatt, and I don't think he's playing bad. That's the issue. Like, I'm not thinking that he's playing bad. And PFF, we've gone around before on, but PFF said he was, the highest graded offensive player for the Browns?
Yes.
So what is making sense here? I try to make sense of the nonsensical, which is almost impossible to do with the Browns.
Especially
here we are.
When you're playing a rookie quarterback that is going to need all the help he can get. So now you're going to have musical chairs on the offensive line?
Which, guys, if they're willing to... do I dare say this?
You ran this by me earlier.
You don't want me to say... If you're giving me the eyes to say it, maybe I shouldn't say it.
It might not be worth it.
Oh, no, you guys can be mad at the Browns all you want. I didn't say it. It just leads me to think different things about the Browns and what they think of Shedeur Sanders. Want me to say it?
I mean, I got time. Go ahead.
If they're willing to play musical chairs with their offensive line, what do they really think of the quarterback playing behind them? If they took Shedeur Sanders number 2 overall.
Reckless speculation.
On YouTube Live, that's Ken Carman.
I don't think
the guy on the right.
I don't think that.
The guy on the right for once, not the guy on the left.
I don't think it. I want anybody to be good for the Browns. I'm pointing out if he was the number 2 overall pick, would they be messing around with their offensive line? If they were that desperate, but Wyatt Teller doesn't. Wyatt Teller is not an abomination of the position. If he were an abomination of the position, I'd go, fine, get somebody else in there. But he's not. They're proving it on the internet that he's not. He's not the problem. So you're putting in another guy in Tevin Jenkins. I don't want to rip Tevin Jenkins yet. I haven't got a real chance to see Tevin Jenkins, right? Right. Yes.
But if Wyatt Teller is injured, do you want him out there with a guy who, should have been the number 2 pick?
But he ain't saying he's injured. And they told him before that they were going to work him in. That's where I don't understand it.
And now
he's saying he's not. He hadn't said he was injured. What?
I got a text from my buddy, all Ohio Mike. He goes, that's the Browns' way. They bench a guy for playing too well. They never bench anybody for playing poorly.
So this is my issue here. I'm going to throw 2 theories by you. One is Flowery. I want to throw this by. Guys, I'm thinking on the fly here. I want help on this, all right? 216-474-0092. What do you think is the actual truth here? Where yesterday Lance Risland was on with Afternoon Drive. Coach Lance, he doesn't understand Stefanski rotating Wyatt Teller around.
I always try to kind of give coaches, a little bit of benefit of the doubt. It's lonely on top, and when you're on top, everybody's got an answer and all those kind of things. But I've watched every single snap, and he's by far the best offensive lineman. He's had his issues. A lot of his issues have to do with they're in 3rd and 10, and he's not the best lateral mover. But in terms of run game, in terms of displacing people, he's doing everything he's always done, especially when they run what he does best, which is down blocking, gap schemes. He's fantastic. So I don't understand that. The one thing that's bothersome to me is what you said about, like, Kevin said one thing and he said the other. When you don't have alignment, it's a mess. I don't care if it's high school, college, or pro. When you're not aligned from top to bottom and you're struggling like they are, it gets exposed. And winning hides a lot, and when you lose, it shows true dysfunction.
So here's my 2 theories. First theory is they just don't like Wyatt Teller, and they're seeing something we don't see. And he's 30 years old. Tevin Jenkins is 27. Tevin Jenkins is probably cheaper, and they want to see what Tevin Jenkins has at the position. And I can rant and rave and disagree with the Browns all I want. We've all disagreed with the Browns many, many times over, and they've still done a lot of things that we don't want them to do. That's my first theory. Do you believe that that's a passable theory?
It actually kind of does.
Okay, but I got another theory for you. Now, this would be as Browns gets. They don't have a lot of money to throw around next year. Okay, what's Tevin Jenkins' contract situation? What's your guard situation? I got Ethan Posick, who's up at center. I got Luke Whippler, who's been working in on the offensive line because guys have been getting hurt. Now, I think altogether, Mike Bloomgren's done a pretty good job getting this all schemed up. I got to tell you.
They have to try it. Yeah, I agree. They have to try it again with DeJuan Jones.
So
they have to.
They're going to have to try it again over at right tackle with DeJuan Jones. We ain't doing this left tackle stuff no more. He's clearly uncomfortable doing it. He could be a good right tackle. Let's leave him at right tackle.
Does it matter if you have a left-handed quarterback or not?
No, God, I'm done with that stuff too. So my other theory is this. Are we in the final 5 games of Joel Bitonio?
Yes.
This is how they would think. And Joel Bitonio's not doing a bad job either. So if you're going to rotate one guy out, you're not going to rotate the guy who, if you had more team success, would be an arguable Hall of Famer. You're not going to rotate your guy who leads your franchise in snaps or starts or whatever the number is right now. He's actually beating out Joe Thomas for it. You're not going to replace him. He's playing his final 5 games. It's almost like he came back for charity almost. You're not gonna switch him out and put in Tevin Jenkins. Now I know that other guys, Jackie Slater did it at the end of his career, things like that, but they're not gonna do it with Joel Bitonio. Wyatt Teller, they find it maybe very easier to do it with Wyatt Teller, and maybe they're gonna put Tevin Jenkins in there at guard on the other side of Wyatt Teller because they could go, okay, we'll pay Wyatt Teller some money, and we'll do the Jack Conklin thing, which is a terrible name to bring up, I know, because his name is mud with Browns fans, but we'll do the Jack Conklin thing because you can't just play musical linemen all the time. Is that a theory that could pass? Now, that's more Browns.
What Wyatt just had his 100 start.
Yes. And they decided.
We got an email about that from Stu.
Good, but not good enough. We're going on to Tevin Jenkins.
I still altogether the fact
that. So, Tevin, when you get your 100th start, look the hell out, buddy.
Well, the fact that that's good if you can get to 100 starts. The fact that the two of us have just concocted 5 semi-plausible explanations.
Well, I only had 2.
Well, it seems like, we've been sitting here talking about it for 10 minutes. Just would have been nice. I don't know, if you're Shedeur Sanders, wouldn't you just rather have Wyatt Teller out there?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Or whoever starts at quarterback.
And for the folks that are saying, well, that's the Browns putting the boots to them. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you guys for how many months? You guys, the Shedeur fans are new here. I'm not. I know that they make crazy decisions, and that would be a crazy decision. That would not be in the best interest of your quarterback. But if they don't think your quarterback's that great, they're going to go ahead and try some different things. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. So it's 2 theories. One, they just don't think Wyatt's good, which I would highly disagree. Obviously, and I think you would highly disagree. I know the guys in the afternoon disagree. That's 4 of us. Lance is 5 of us. That's 5. Okay, 5 against the Browns. The other thought is, well, if you really did want to try to Work around with your offensive line. You can't just take the rookie situation. I don't know how many guys are plug and play. That's what made Joel Bitonio so special. You took him in the second round. You just put him in there at guard, and away he went for the rest of his career. That's why he's beloved here, because you never had to worry about the guy. Even at tackle, when they tried to experiment with that and he was clearly uncomfortable and told everybody, you didn't really worry about the guy. That's what's made Joel so great. But if you wanted to, you could say, we're going into the game, you're 3-8. You know they're always thinking big picture. This is a team that did not try to win games in the month of December last year. They didn't even bother trying to win. So they're going to take Tevin Jenkins. They might like Tevin Jenkins. I got nothing against the fella. And they're going to go, okay, we can't rotate him in with Joel because the people will go crazy because they love Joel. And we can't do that to Joel because it's a bad look. And he's one of our Ring of Honor type of guys.
We begged him to come back.
We begged him to come back. We're not going to do that. But hey, Wyatt's up, and Wyatt's got a few more years, and maybe we could just pay him money, and we could just move with Tevin Jenkins over on one side and Wyatt Teller on the other, and Luke Whippler in the middle, and we'll put DeJuan Jones over at right tackle. And even as I say this, I just know that they probably aren't going to do it, so it's just the ramblings of a crazy person who covers a 3-9 football team. 216-474-0092. You think that's right? I just got a text. I might want to put. I'm gonna put his name out there. Earl's 6. He's with us. Earl's number 6. 6 guys. Earl the Pearl, my friend. Thank you for listening, Earl. We love you. Do you think that that's plausible there?
It actually is. Yeah.
Honestly, the second one is what I want to happen. That's the easiest one for me to swallow. Not just, hey, we don't think Wyatt Teller's any good anymore. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. This is great. 216-474-0092. Coming up at 7:45 about last night. And you've seen this movie twice before. You're showing with the ticket prices. You don't need to see it again. I ain't talking about anything happening on Sunday either. Ken Carman, Tone Master General on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima 4.
Donovan Mitchell led the Cavs. He put in 43 points. Darius Garland is expected back in the lineup tonight for the Cavs. He rested Monday night, so he's dealing with that surgically repaired left big toe. Don't miss the Browns preview show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I think you've seen this movie a couple times before and you don't need to see it again, at least not until the ending. Maybe you think the ending is going to change. That's coming up in just a few moments. So I've shared two theories. One is just typical Browns. Other one is hopeful Browns, which probably isn't the right theory about this Wyatt Teller situation, because you didn't put him on any sort of list, injured list before, participation list he wasn't on. Then you said that you're going to rotate Tevin Jenkins in. Then Wyatt Teller comes down with a calf injury, where some people said, including John Greco, said he saw him grab his calf, but Wyatt didn't mention anything in the postgame. It was his 100th start. Again, congratulations. Here's your replacement. And my two theories were, one, well, because I like Wyatt Teller, and I like Wyatt Teller personally. I also think he's a hell of a lineman. And I think that he could be good for this football team for the next few years as we start to make these transitions. Now, I think that this is a team that's going to be a little bit on the cash strap side of things because of the money that they have to pay out to a couple of veterans there, one of which is worth it. The other one is one of the worst contracts in sports history. So it makes you have to cut corners in other positions when you're a 3-win football team, for crying out loud. That's how bad of an investment that was. But you have to cut corners in certain parts of your roster that you might not want to. And by the way, they were mentioning that yesterday or on Sunday on the broadcast, like Trent Green was talking about, hey, you got Brock Purdy, that contract. You've had to cut corners in other positions, a la Clelin Ferrell and Jordan Elliott playing defensive line for your San Francisco 49ers. You don't really want that to happen, but you're going to have to make do because you've paid a lot of money out in other contracts. And I think what they're trying to do is find a savings on at what one point was one of the most expensive offensive lines in football, and at one point was very well worth it. And so if I looked into 2026, I hated sharing the theory about Shedeur Sanders. That's not what I want to be true, but I told you guys what I think that they may be thinking, because if he were a first-round draft pick, you damn sure ain't going to mess with anything on your offensive line to get the guy put in harm's way. But if there's 2026 coming around, you're hoping DeJuan Jones comes back and is healthy and can actually stay healthy for an entire season. Love the young man. Maybe you could put him over at right tackle again. Then you got your center position. We don't know what the future is with Ethan Posick necessarily, but I know that they like Luke Whippler. Whether or not the fans like Luke Whippler, we'll find out. Then you have the guard situation. Left tackle, that's a totally different conversation. I'm not even going to have it yet. But at the guard situation, you have Joel Bitonio on one side. He's playing in his final 5 games. He hasn't come out necessarily and said it. He's dropped a million hints. It's basically there. He's done after this year. They basically had to beg him to come back this year to talk him into playing this year. Well, he's the guy who could possibly be in the Ring of Honor someday, or certainly would be a Browns legend. So you're not going to just take him out and start working him in and out. But you have Wyatt Teller, and you're thinking, okay, I could just make it up for this with money. Because they could turn right around and go, hey, we like Tevin Jenkins. We're going to put him at one guard. We're going to keep him. And we've decided to ink an extension with Wyatt Teller. And we'll let bygones be bygones because money fixes lots of things. It's not necessarily the way I would think about doing it, but it's possibly a way they could do it, because Tevin Jenkins during practice, because we love to talk about reps here, when you go through situations with the ones, you do run reps where, hey, 77's down, 74, we need you on the field, and he runs out. Like, they do that during the week. So if they like what they see in this young man and they did enough to bring him in, then maybe they'll put him over at one of the guard spots. Or they just don't see what we all see, and they don't like Wyatt Teller. There you go. What do you think? Before I go to the phones.
Yeah, I think it doesn't make any sense, and I think the offensive line has played the best it's played all year in the last 2 weeks. So that's the one thing Shedeur has going for himself for this week against Tennessee, is if he gets another good offensive line performance, he has a chance to play really well. If he does not play well and it looks bad or he regresses, then we might have to have conversations again. But this should be an opportunity this week to play well. But now without Wyatt Teller and with the musical chair
I
stuff,
really hope Tevin Jenkins plays well because he could end up being one of the two guards. He could end up replacing Wyatt. I don't know what we're going to do without Joel next year, unless they didn't plan on keeping Ethan Posick and putting Luke Whippler over at the other guard. You got any thought on that before I go to Ike here?
No, I mean Whippler came in for a few plays at center on
I think
Sunday.
he's played a little bit of guard, has he?
Yeah, he's played some guard too. Like they've used him in that third tight end role where he blocks for guys too.
Zach Zinter's a healthy scratch every week, and yes. I don't know what's going on there, and I don't even want to speculate. I have no idea. No one says anything, so I don't even want to talk about him. Ike in Cleveland, you're first up on the Fan. Yellow, Ike.
Hey, Grand Rising, guys. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much, Ike. Go right on ahead.
So the Browns could be sabotaging and trying to tank, or they could just be seeing what they got in our other guard. I mean, we clearly know we need a left tackle. We clearly know we got a lot of moving pieces on this O-line coming up. I think they just need to go ahead and see what we got in our other guard. Let Teller, clearly they believe in Teller. There's no reason you're celebrating 100 games and you don't got some type of long time thing for this guy. He's still on the stadium outside. You know what I mean?
I'd sure as hell hope so. I'd sure as hell hope so.
I think that they just trying to see what they got in everybody. Shedeur probably plays. They're not in the business of winning games right now, so it wouldn't make sense for them to keep marching the best guys out there.
And sometimes I just have to accept reality here. Ike, thank you very much for the call. They may feel a lot differently about him than I do. I'll have to accept that at the end of the year. And I don't want to turn Tevin Jenkins into some sort of villain. I just know that everybody's going to be watching him like a hawk coming up on Sunday. That's all I'm at on that. How much does it cost to get into the Cavs game tonight? Have you seen?
Yeah.
I know you saw last night. It might have changed from last night to today, but how much does it cost to get into the Cavs game?
It was a little more. I think it was like $11.
They play the Trailblazers tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a 4 yesterday.
It says from $10.
Okay, from $10. So it costs very little amount to get into a Browns game right now. Very small amount. It costs a very small amount to get into a Cavs game right now. What's your theory behind that?
You can hop the gate over Progressive Field and look at the seats being taken out.
Don't do that. Don't be going into places you're not authorized to.
I'm just saying that's cheap also.
Don't do that.
So I find it really interesting. Obviously, the Cavs have been disappointing to start out, but there have been reasons. It's not like anybody's dooming them. In fact, I think they're still the favorites to win the Eastern Conference right now. Despite their record, and Darius has not been healthy, and now we don't know how healthy he's going to be the rest of the year. They've had no Max Strus. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. You see Larry Nance Jr. is going to be out extended time. Merrill has been out extended time.
Yeah.
So there have been legitimate reasons. It's not like anybody is walking around going, Cavs have no shot now in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But it's been disappointing, except for the fact that Donovan Mitchell is playing the best basketball of his career. And against the Pacers, where they knew he would need to step up big. In fact, I think he got a text from Kenny Atkinson, like, Donovan, need you to score 40. And what did he do? He dropped 40-plus again, and he is shooting the best he's ever shot in his career across the board. Field goal percentage, he's up to 51%. Three-point shooting percentage, he's up to 39.
Who's up to 39?
These are Donovan Mitchell. These are both career highs, how he is playing right now. So he's having his best season as a pro. He's dazzling. Every time you go see Donovan Mitchell, if you take your kids, you'd be like, this is as good as it's going to get. This is amazing. And yet, it doesn't seem like it's registering at all with the fans.
I don't think it's registering at all with the fans because I think that they think they can watch it on TV. And I think when it comes to regular games, by the way, the Cavs update brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. The fine folks at Surfside, while it tastes wonderfully, they ask you to enjoy responsibly.
Donovan is having a LeBron year.
I understand that. I think that they've seen this movie, and if you're bringing up LeBron, they've definitely seen that movie many times. His name's just not LeBron James. I think they've seen this happen a bunch of times, and they want it to be proven to them in the postseason. At one point, this was one of the toughest tickets in town to get a couple of years ago. Well, you won over 50 games that year. You won 64 last year. You've been bounced in the second round of the playoffs the last 2 years. If I wanted to bring up 3 years ago, you could still do that because they got embarrassed in the first round of the playoffs against the New York Knicks. So this has been 3 really years that they've done that. Well, this is the 4th installment of this movie, and they're in the regular season going, see me in the playoffs. It's a difficult thing to do because you and I talk about him every single morning at the night after a game. It's a difficult thing to say, but I think that's what they're admitting to you.
But
I think Cleveland's a good basketball town. I don't think that it has any indictment on the fans here in Cleveland. But if they're going to think about going to a game, they're going to go to a game that they think matters. And you're telling everybody the regular season doesn't matter. And it's not based on any of the typical, real quick, Tone, it's not based on any of the typical NBA stuff. It's not based on the load management, all that. Some people could say that. I just think that they've seen this team win so many times in the regular season. They want to see something more. So you're gonna have some nice price seats.
Well, they like when LeBron was back here the second time, there was a bit of a malaise from the fan, but they were going to the games. Are they not going to these games? How many empty seats are there? They were impossible tickets to get. They were expensive tickets to get.
Okay.
Up until that final year. Really, that final year, that fourth year. And they had already won the title, after that. But that's not the case with this team at all. Like, people are not lining up to see Donovan Mitchell. And I guess I'm curious, is it because you've seen maybe the all-time best and there's just nothing is ever going to top that? I mean, because it has been... it's been a long time now. LeBron has not played here.
I don't think it's that.
He's been what? Is this his 8th year in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't think it's
Why are people not excited to see somebody who statistically is just as good as LeBron James?
Because he's not LeBron James. He's not going to win MVP. LeBron could be an MVP. This guy's never going to win, more than likely never going to win MVP. He's a great player for us. He's the second greatest Cavalier who ever lived.
Well, now I think that's... Has that not been entrenched? As much as I love Kyrie,
you just said it though.
He doesn't have the moments in the playoffs that Kyrie does.
But Tone, you just said
he's
he
also
doesn't.
not playing alongside LeBron James.
He's not playing alongside LeBron James.
If Donovan was playing alongside LeBron during the peak LeBron years, I'm sure we'd have Donovan Mitchell moments.
I don't think it's that. It's been a long time since LeBron and Kyrie played together here. I don't think it's that. You just mentioned it. They already won the title. So once they've already won the title, it's like, the regular season. What's the regular season? I think they don't have any faith in. I think they just want to be proven something in the postseason, and until then, they're not going to pay attention. Donovan Mitchell said it himself.
I'm going to ask a dumb question, though.
What?
Was winning the title great for all of us, obviously? Was it bad for this team? Had they not have won the title in 2016, and we were still chasing, would it be different right now? Would there not be a malaise? Because we've seen the best. We've seen a championship team.
No, because...
and we know this team is not that.
No.
Right? Isn't that what it is? We're seeing Oklahoma City is now 21-1.
I could take the low road and try to put words in your mouth. Remember this the next time I ask one of these hypothetical questions to you. I want you to grant me this because I could really take the low road here if I wanted to. It was a healthy thing because it shows us that it's possible. If they had not won the title in 2016, I don't think a lot of people go, well, if we couldn't win it with LeBron, how the hell are we going to win it with these guys? But I think that showed you that you could win the title with LeBron, and you could try to turn around and say, well, we only were able to win it with LeBron. How the hell are we going to win it with these guys? No, I think the league's wide open right now. You're still the favorite to win the East, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're still the favorite to win the East. We know that you have some things to work out, but I think the general Cavaliers fan here, 64 wins, 50+, early exits, no, see you in April.
But
I think they'll be there in April.
But the NBA,
I think they're there. I think the ticket prices are just low.
Haven't we always said, though, like the NBA is a little different animal. People come to see the superstars, but there's no buzz about
Who's the superstars?
Donovan Mitchell. That's what I'm saying. He is having a LeBron season, but the fans are not. He's not blockbuster enough for fans to pay top dollar to see him, and I'm asking, why is that? He was All-NBA last year.
Because he's not the superstar that LeBron is. Who's the superstar that LeBron is anymore in the NBA? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's he's a great player. But like LeBron, any idiot could take a look at LeBron and know who LeBron James was just by the face, not walking down the street. Everybody. How many people can pick Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and say, if he were just in an ad, and say, that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander without anything being said to put his name in the Oklahoma City Thunder there.
I will say they are.
There's no way.
They are now jamming SGA in a bunch of commercials.
And they should.
And a lot of the NBA promos.
They should.
But
he's
it's
a
been
fantastic
a long time.
player, and it's good for the league that he's in that market. I'm not saying any of that stuff, not saying he needs to be in a bigger one, none of that. It's good for them. But he's just not LeBron. And these guys just aren't that generation. They are not as big of stars as Durant, as Chris Paul, who just got let go. Not even as Chris Paul.
And Luka,
name your players. Name your players. They're just not those guys. And, yeah.
But if you buy a ticket, what I'm saying is if you buy a ticket to go see Donovan Mitchell. He is wowing in an amazing way right now.
Understood. And I think people go, yeah, I'll watch at home, and then I'll spend a premium price to go maybe see him in the playoffs. Or you went to a game this year, right?
So what happened? I guess my question is, what happens when Donovan's not on this team anymore? Like, are people done with the Cavs games?
Attendance.
If they're not even that geeked to see him,
they've been listed as sellouts in their attendance.
You're being way too fatalistic.
I'd say finally now that's a little shaky.
You're being way too
looking out.
You're being way too fatalistic about this.
I was at the Rockets. I was at the Rockets game, Owen, and that was KD. That was a Rockets team that looks like they're one of the best teams in the NBA. There were a ton of empty seats. I wish I could say different about that. Lower Bowl's full. I mean, Lower Bowl's always.
But man, again, you just have a team that people are. I don't think they're taking it for granted. Because even when they won 19 games, they were still like 21st in attendance that year. It wasn't like they were at the bottom. Basketball works in the city, but they've seen this a million times over. They want to see something different. They want to see the same thing. They want to see higher stakes. Regular season games in December against the Houston Rockets or November against the Houston Rockets are not the stakes that they're talking about. Surfside update for the Cavs brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. I want to jump back into this coming up in a bit. 216-474-0092. We got a bout last night coming up where even one of Mike Tomlin's own former legends thinks that it's the end of his run over there in Pittsburgh. Lima, you might not have to trade any picks. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
All right, the real estate market,
Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
So much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0. No one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Well, it's no surprise. Last night, the Ohio State Buckeyes remained number one in the latest college football playoff standings following their win in Ann Arbor. But to my surprise, Ryan Day yesterday in his press conference was asked about the comms issue that was reported on the televised broadcast of the Bucs-Michigan game. This is what Coach Day had to say about what happened there over in Ann Arbor.
We lost communication there in the second half, but the good news was that earlier that week, I thought there may be an inkling that may happen, so we had a plan for it. Yeah, just by chance, we had a plan for it, and so we were ready to go when it happened.
Is that inkling just being well prepared, or is there some more alleged cheating going on in Michigan?
I think it's being more well prepared. Now, the juicy story would say to be that it's more cheating going on at Michigan. I think, however, you got to understand that coaches at that level are psychotic. You got to understand the Little Brown Jug. What's a Little Brown Jug from? They thought that poison water was going to be, I think, at Minnesota. That's why Fielding Yost brought his own jug. These people are crazy.
But what's being left out of the audio is that he winked at the reporters when he said
that. I understand. I think there's a little bit of goofiness, but I think they try to get ready for everything, especially communications. You never know when the battery's going to run out.
I will say, I said this to Ken, and he's like, well, every team, obviously is prepared for the contingencies. I do think that Ohio State, and this is going to sound obnoxious, this is going to sound like Golden State Warrior fans.
Please do.
Back in the day, I do think Ohio State is light years ahead of everybody right now. I think they are with their staff. We'll see if Brian Hartline can stay. Right now, it's trending towards him staying, but still a lot of dominoes can end up falling if somebody big ends up leaving.
They're ahead of a lot of people.
I think they are light years ahead of everybody in the resources, the NIL, the tradition doesn't matter as much anymore, nor do facilities. But if you add up everything and do a clear picture, nobody's handling the transfer portal better. Nobody understands which high school recruits to go after while still retaining the current players you have and then having the talent that means the most en route to a national championship. I think they are ahead of everybody right now.
There is an Indiana podcast that I need to share with you, and we may need to share later on, that refutes your claim that they are light years ahead. Speaking of going on from that, I got some audio here from KNBR yesterday in San Francisco. Tim Ryan, not the politician, the 49ers color analyst.
Wow, political takes from Mitch.
That's as hot as you're going to get from me politically. We had a take from him. He had a hot take yesterday regarding the Browns addressing Juwan Jennings' comments during the Browns' Sunday loss to the Niners.
I think part of why people get so agitated with Juwan is because of his style of play, which is as physical as it gets. It's not dirty, but he is going to play ball the way Kyle Shanahan wants him to play ball in terms of his blocking, and he's going to block to the whistle. I think that's part of it. And I'll say on the other side that Cleveland's probably overreacting, their defensive linemen.
I mean, they did compare him to a gardening tool.
Tim Ryan kind of sounds like when he does the talk back thing on Home Alone 2. I'm just sorry, his voice is very deep, so it's...
Hi, kids, we're home early.
This is Peter McAllister, the father.
Yeah, I would understand where a San Francisco guy... Like, I took Shelby Harris aside. I went on with Nick and Jonathan yesterday on Afternoon Drive, and I said, I got nothing to prove what Shelby Harris is saying is right, but I'm in Cleveland. I know Shelby Harris runs a little bit hot. I'm going to believe Shelby Harris because I don't... Malik Collins being down is one thing, but I don't think Shelby Harris is just going to have to be separated for no reason. So clearly he must have said, or they heard him say something about someone's wife and kids out there on the field. And
yeah, I hate to say it, I just assumed all that stuff is said all the time throughout a random game.
No, there's things that you just can't say to these guys. There's things you can't say.
I feel like, in many ways there are ways to bait guys too, and there are certain guys that will go the distance in baiting guys and say the worst possible thing. And then you saw the way they celebrated when they won. There's been a bunch of video that has come out. Like they rubbed it in the Browns' faces big time.
On Instagram, too.
That they won, yeah.
Finally, here we have Ben Roethlisberger on the Footballin' podcast yesterday saying that change may need to be coming for the Steelers. What do you got?
Well, just real quick, before we do the Roethlisberger thing, 2 years ago when they beat the 49ers at home, wasn't it Greg Newsome who came out with the big boom box?
Yeah,
like they
right.
do. So there has been a history in a way between the two teams, even though Malik Collins played for the 49ers. But okay, whatever.
This is, once again, this is from Big Ben on the Footballin' podcast yesterday.
I don't know, and it may be, and I know it's being talked about around here a lot. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's a clean house time. Maybe it is. Maybe it's time. And I like Coach Tomlin. I have a lot of respect for Coach Tomlin. But maybe it's best for him too.
Sure.
Maybe a fresh start for him is what's best. Whether that's in the pros, whether maybe go be Penn State's head coach. You know what he would do in Penn State? He'd probably go win national championships because he's a great recruiter.
Should that be a dark horse candidate for Penn State?
I didn't really think so. I think if anything, he would probably be out of the league for a year. And maybe do some TV, do what Sean Payton did for a year, kind of get his bearings as to what the new trends are around the league. Because there's no doubt there's some antiquated stuff going on with Mike Tomlin, and sometimes it just takes a year away. I mean, Urban Meyer did it in college, spent a year away, and basically was mining information from all the top programs. Sean Payton admits that that's what he was doing. So I think that's probably where we're at with Tomlin this year. And I will also say, do people forget that Andy Reid got fired? I mean, it's not the end of the world. He's been there for 19 years, 18 straight above 500, which I think is almost impossible in that league.
Didn't the media give Andy Reid a game ball in Philly?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
And then everything was hunky-dory until he started beating him in games and things like that.
That worked out for both of them.
Yeah,
Andy Reid went and won, and they had two different coaches win Super Bowls.
They won Super Bowls with two different coaches. That's right. That's hunky-dory. I hope it doesn't happen with Pittsburgh like that, but unless Mike Tomlin decides to come here, then fine, to hell with it. You end up doing Champions Pose. We all get to. I think Lima's right. I think by that case, Ben Roethlisberger might be right. There's a time where things just run their course in football, and it's time for a separation from everybody. And I think Mike Tomlin might be getting tired of it because I think you have to see, it's hard to see where there's a way out. And I think it's hard for them to see, on the other side for a coach, I think it's hard for them to not see a way out because coaches don't want to give up on their teams. They don't want to give up on the process. But if you don't see a way out, I think it's easier to see in week 18 than it is right now. So he might not be thinking that way, but you might get to week 18 going, hey, this is kind of where we're at right now. Maybe it's in my best interest. I'm still a relatively young man in that term. Maybe it's in my best interest to go ahead and move on with my life because he'll be a Steeler legend.
That's it for About Last Night.
Outstanding as always, Mitch. Really well done. Coming up at 9:20 this morning, Dan Wetzel going to join us on the show. College football playoff, they're making it up as they go. Ohio State, the intrigue. Was high cheating going on again in Ann Arbor, but coming up in 5 minutes. Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore. James Rapine in Cincinnati, Locked on Bengals. And yes, Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. Could we see 4 coaches get removed at the end of this season in the AFC North? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, fat and thin in the morning on The Fan.
Anthony Lima.
tons of ball. Probable for the game. He's been dealing with an illness, but Sam Merrill out again. Continues to deal with that sprained right hand. OMC Browns preview show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
All guests appear on the Fan Hotline. We got 3 of them coming at you all in one segment because it's time to go around the AFC North. And our first stop is in Baltimore. 105.7 The Fan's Ken Weinman, where they are facing the Pittsburgh Steelers at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And Ken, is John Harbaugh back on the hot seat? Our good buddy Nick Wright says yes.
I don't know if his seat's hot because I know Steve Bisciotti loves and respects John Harbaugh, but if this season goes off the rails, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. Like if they, I have a buddy who I respect who thinks they're going to lose 4 of their last 5. If that happens, then I think the seat is hot, and I think it might be time, just sort of like it could be time in Pittsburgh. I'm not there yet, but man, this weekend should be interesting. Whatever the opposite of the irresistible force against the immovable object, that's what we got Sunday against Pittsburgh.
You know, we overanalyze press conferences, especially coaches, all the time. But has Lamar Jackson explained away any of his play this year? Because this is not only is this not MVP level play for him, this is like barely starting quarterback play from Lamar Jackson.
No, he's been bad for 3 weeks, and frankly, he's taken no responsibility for it. And I don't know if it's injury or a combination of injury, which has led to lack of practice. Which I wish we'd get to the bottom of it, but he Thursday night he just kept saying consistent. But you know, he looks like the rookie Lamar Jackson. He can't hit layups. He scudded a screen pass to Keaton Mitchell. He had Zay Flowers wide open on like just a quick out for a first down. He basically threw it in the stands. He's been bad, and he's not taking a bit of responsibility for it.
Against Pittsburgh in their own situation, is this a do-or-die type of game for either of you guys involved? Because it's just such a bad division all of a sudden here. Like, how does this thing play out depending on who loses?
Yeah, I think the loser is in a lot of trouble. And I didn't believe this heading into Thursday night, but I do think there's a glimmer that Cincinnati comes back and wins this thing just because Pittsburgh and Baltimore are so bad. And I don't think Cincinnati's good, but if the Ravens lose this football game, I just don't know where the win comes. Moving forward, like, are they real? Like, I do see a scenario like Lamar goes to Cincinnati in 2 weeks, and Louisville's an hour away, and all his buddies are there from Louisville, and he's played really well there in the past. But he's played really well in December in the past. He's played really well in prime time in the past. But prime time was Thursday night, and he looked like hot garbage. So I don't know if the past gives us anything looking forward.
What has been the biggest complaint from fans about what's going on with the team?
Well, the biggest complaint, which I'm sure you guys would get, well, they complain about Harbaugh a lot. They complain about Monken a lot. And Monken on Thursday night, like, you could make the argument, well, Isaiah Likely should have fumbled through the end zone, and Zay Flowers, if he doesn't get called for the push-off, they scored 2 touchdowns there. But why aren't you running the ball with Derrick Henry in the second quarter of that football game when the Bengals give up 5 yards of carry and he had a 30-yard touchdown early in the game? For him to have 10 carries in that football game seems criminal. So, and I'm a big Monken guy, but I just felt like that was a major overthink, and it reminded me a little bit of the AFC title game a couple years back where they didn't run the football against the Chiefs, who were basically daring them to run the football, and they said, no, we'll just throw it around the yard, and lost at home. Is
the starting quarterback for the Browns in 2026 currently on their roster?
I don't think so.
That's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know what you thought.
It shouldn't be. And the shame of it is for you guys, and you've never asked me this, I thought the Browns had a great draft, save for the fact they still don't have a quarterback.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, you don't need to sugarcoat it. I didn't think you thought Carson Schlesinger was bad. I know you think he's good, and we all think he's good.
No, they killed the draft. Judkins, Schlesinger, Graham. They killed the draft, but you can't win without a quarterback.
Ken Wyman, 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore as they get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers at 1 o'clock on Sunday. We now go to Cincinnati. Locked on Bengals, SI.com's James Rapine. They head to Buffalo Sunday, 1 p.m. James, is this your division now in Cincinnati for the taking?
Well, yeah, it's certainly there, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. At 4-8, you shouldn't be in the mix for any division, but the Bengals certainly are. They have to win. I still am of the belief they have to win out. There are some that think 8-9 will get it done. But, yeah, I think if they win out, the Ravens and Steelers will lose 2 of their last 5 games, and they'll win the division.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I think there is now, I don't know how the tiebreakers would work if it was a 3-way tie and everybody's sitting at 8, but I think 8 wins. Like, I don't know that Baltimore is getting to 9. I don't know that the Steelers are getting to 9. So I think 8 could be in the mix. I just don't know how it figures in because you still got divisional games to play.
Yeah, it depends on who wins what and all of those things. And 8 could. I just think if you're the Bengals, knowing how this season has gone, if you somehow are in position to win the division at 4-8, well, what's the path? The path is to go to Buffalo, win, come home, beat Baltimore. And if you do that, handle that business the next couple of weeks, you're going to be 6-8. You're going to need the Ravens to lose 1 more game. Maybe they lose this weekend to the Steelers, and then the Steelers to lose a couple of games, which I think is really believable. And then you just handle business the rest of the way. So a lot that they need to do, but the fact that they're even in it here as we start December is pretty wild.
If you make the playoffs, that means Zach Taylor's Teflon, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I mean to that organization, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I don't hate them. I mean, what am I? My team's 3-9. We got our own problems there. I had to ask that question. That's all, James. I mean, I know a lot of fans. Do fans feel? Let me ask in a different way. Do fans feel bullish about them making the playoffs down there?
The ones that do feel bullish, but not because of Zach, right? It's obviously because Joe is back and Jamar is back from suspension, and the defense has played a bit better in recent weeks, and we'll see how real that is. I certainly have my reservations about it, considering Lamar Jackson handed them the ball a couple of times last week. So we'll see on the defense. But, yeah, I think there is belief because of Joe Burrow and because they have seen these late season runs. Even last year, they needed 1,000 things to go their way in December, including them winning out, and all but one did. They were 1 away from getting into the playoffs. It didn't happen. The Chiefs didn't win in Week 18. Otherwise, they would have made the playoffs. So I think fans, bullish might be a bit strong, but they are confident that the Bengals could make a run here.
James Rapine, one more question. Is the starting quarterback for the Browns in 2026 currently on the roster?
I don't believe so. If he is, it's Shedeur Sanders. If he is.
But you don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that there will be a change in the guard in the powers that be, and if that happens, hard for me to envision a scenario where Shedeur Sanders is the guy.
All right. James Rapine, Locked On Bengals down in Cincinnati. We now go to Pittsburgh, 93.7 The Fans. Andrew Filipponi. Is this the year Mike Tomlin gets let go?
No. I mean, I wish for it. I hope for it, but they're not going to put us out of our misery here, Ken.
Boy, that sounds nasty.
Well, booing him and booing Renegade. I mean, we were talking about
Renegade.
A proud tradition and a Super Bowl champ. I'd explain that one.
Well, Wizard, let me actually correct you on one thing. They didn't boo Mike Tomlin. It was far worse than that. They chanted, "Fire Tomlin." To me, booing is many steps down from saying we're going to fire a guy right to his face. And they did that, and that had never happened before. And if the owner wasn't tucked in bed getting ready for 60 minutes, then he would have heard that and probably would have been incensed by it, or at least it would have gotten on his radar and would have maybe moved him to some degree. He got moved by fans to fire Matt Canada because of how primal and visceral fans were and angry they were with the incompetent offensive coordinator that was here a couple years ago. And maybe fans can actually spur him to action on Tomlin.
You know, we had a vicious debate over the last day, multiple shows on this station, about whether or not we would take Mike Tomlin.
vicious.
Well, what we got into it the most was the compensation for Tomlin, but I think this show agreed we would both take Mike Tomlin. Are we getting a good football coach if we had Mike Tomlin?
Well, here's why. I don't know who was on what side, but here's why I would say, in the predicament you guys are in.
Ken was on Ilkin's side of that debate.
The late Tunch Ilkin.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Tom Barrasso.
Tom Barrasso. The very, okay, interesting. Here's what I would say about that. I would ask both of you guys, when has Mike Tomlin developed a quarterback? And you guys are going to have to do that unless Deshaun Watson figures it out over the next month, plays again, and looks like he did in Houston.
Oh wait, you don't think you don't think anything of Shedeur Sanders?
Well, Tone, not Tone.
I'm Ken.
Don't you think he's going to have to be developed? Okay, this is a joke. Seriously though, he thought he could salvage Mitch Trubisky. He thought Mitch Trubisky was going to be one of these Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold types where he just needed a change of scenery. Wrong, couldn't do it. He thought the same thing of Justin Fields. Wrong, he couldn't do it. He thought Russell Wilson was still good enough to compete with Super Bowls with. Wrong, couldn't do it. Thought the same thing. Told people in the media we can win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He's perfect for us. Wrong. Kenny Pickett. Wrong. I mean, how many guys does he need to be wrong about until people figure it out? Well, maybe Mike Tomlin in his mid-50s, having inherited Ben Roethlisberger, isn't the guy who's going to take a Shedeur Sanders or a Mendoza or a Ty Simpson and actually turn him into a good NFL quarterback.
Wait, Pony, does Omar Khan do anything?
Omar Khan takes orders from Mike Tomlin.
Does he have an office?
Oh, listen to you.
Well, hold on a second, Ken. Go look at his resume. Go read his bio on the Steelers website. What's his background? He's a capologist. Okay, that's why they hired him. They hired a guy who has great relationships with agents and other people in front offices, meaning he's good at being able to give Tomlin the lay of the land and tell him, all right, this player's available at this price. We can trade for this guy. And that's what he's good for.
What do you need a capologist for if you never have a quarterback to pay?
I mean, why did you guys need Paul DePodesta for 10 years? I don't know.
We're asking about you, not asking about the Browns.
Let's shift the focus here and not deflect.
No, hold on, guys. That was not me deflecting. That's just me telling you guys. That's NFL teams make hires, and you wonder what was the point. Kevin Colbert was a GM in that he was a talent evaluator because he had been a scout his entire life. That's not Omar Khan's background. Mike Tomlin thinks he's the scout. When there's the Senior Bowl, get ready for Mike Garafolo or Tom Pelissero to say Mike Tomlin was out there coaching these guys like he was running the thing. Or there's a Senior Day. Mike Tomlin took Malik Willis out for chicken wings last night. I mean, he thinks he's a talent evaluator. It's like Bill Belichick, or probably what Mike Holmgren had. Well, he didn't. You guys get what I'm saying. He's a coach who also thinks he's a GM. He thinks he's the czar of football here. He's got almost unlimited unchecked power, and that's not a good thing.
Pony, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the paper of record in your region, said T.J. Watt has had the worst game of his career. Thoughts?
Well, they actually cited Pro Football Focus when they wrote that article. However...
What do they think about Myles Garrett?
Yeah. You guys know me, and I am... Okay, thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
Do you want me to make the point that you want to hear, or do you want to just keep busting my balls? Because I'm about to say...
I want to do both. I kind of want to do both.
You know what I'm going to say.
You say it.
Garrett's better, okay? He's better. And I concede right now, I stand down on that argument. I admit it. Right now, those two players are worlds apart. It is the worst T.J. Watt has ever looked in his career, and it's horrible timing because you gave the guy, at the time, record-setting money, and one of the reasons why he wanted record-setting money is because he had this urinating contest with Myles Garrett and couldn't take less money than him.
How do you feel about his brother broadcasting a lot of his games and watching him struggle
what do you think
like
of that?
this? It's got to be tough for the family.
I thought he was good until the Bears game. And in the Bears game, when T.J. Watt went literally the entire second half without breathing on Caleb Williams or coming within 5 yards of him. I thought it would have been nice for J.J. Watt to point that out, but I guess he didn't feel like it.
So you don't think that the quarterback for the Browns in 2026 is currently on the roster?
No, I think he could be.
Okay, who will it be then? Who will it be then?
I mean, I think it could be Deshaun Watson.
All right. Always find a way to be difficult, but that's fine. Yeah,
no,
I want to tell people.
Do you guys disagree with that?
No, there's a possibility there, but I asked a question for a specific reason.
Do you think the current host of First Things First is on the roster by 2027?
Don't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, hey, I didn't ask that question. I want people to understand that this is why I don't. You are part of a big reason why I don't call for guys to be fired.
Why is that?
Because you're insane. This has become a personal vendetta between you and Mike Tomlin, and you've been calling for him to be fired. So you've been less and less realistic about anything over the last how many years?
Wait a minute.
You've been calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired for 8 years, and each year you've become more and more agitated and more bothered, and frankly more strident somehow every year about firing the guy.
Ken, this isn't this isn't a tinfoil hat conspiracy that I have.
It's
where I
not.
Sit in my basement.
It's just when you do it for 8 years, it just continues. It gets even more ridiculous.
Yeah, and guess more ridiculous. You get on me for the things I get wrong a lot, and that's fine. I don't pull up, tweets of when you said, Cody Kessler was going to be the next great quarterback.
No, I never did that. I actually never did that. He blocked me. He blocked me for calling him generic cereal.
Okay. Well, either way, anyways, Mike Tomlin, I'm right about this, and I have been, and now it's the entire sport.
Well, most coaches get fired, so you're going to end up being right about it eventually, but it just becomes insufferable after 8 years.
No, he's probably not going to get fired. They're going to come up with some cutesy way eventually to let him walk where it seems like it was on his terms.
Oh, see, you're telling me it's not becoming personal and you actually want him to get fired. He can't just be separated. They can't just have a mutual parting of ways. No, you want a firing. You want him fired.
I don't understand how it's such a irrational, insane opinion to have where you think a coach is a detriment to the football team you cover and root for, and you want him gone because you want things to get better. I don't know where I come off as some kind of lunatic for believing that.
Just look at you. Just listen to you.
Okay. You're right, because you're so level-headed and even-keeled when you go on the air.
I am.
Good point.
I am.
You never raise your voice. You never scream at tone over compensation for Mike Tomlin.
Never do.
Well done.
I never do. Thank you. I appreciate it. Goodbye. Andrew Filipponi, 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. He said it. Finally said it. We win.
Well, now it's over.
We win.
It's like when your political party wins the big election or whatever. It's like, what are we going to do now?
Coming up at 9:20 this morning, Dan Wetzel. We'll pick a fight with him. ESPN. Coming up in 5 minutes. Lima doesn't have to make me care. He has to make you care on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
This
7th at 3 p.m. at the Cleveland Field Office. To register, email cle.recruitment@secretservice.gov. That's cle.recruitment@secretservice.gov.
Sign up to be a part of the fan club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
Coming up at 8:45, it took nearly 8 full months. I finally have something that anti-Shador fans and Shador fans agree on. It took nearly 8 full months. I found it out yesterday. I didn't like the way that Joey framed it on the internet, but I found it out yesterday. And all I'm going to say to you guys at 8:45, you know the truth. You can deny it all you want. Don't come at me for telling you the truth. That's where I'll leave it right there. I'll tell you more at 8:45. Lima's upset he got bumped by our buddy Justin Termini for a bad basketball call.
And I'm even more upset that I wanted to have a fun game about it, and Owen ruined the whole experience.
But I didn't see it. I had no idea. Owen apparently ruined the experience. I didn't see it. I saw
it was one of those two names that I said.
I saw the AI situation that you posed about Owen, which was nuts.
Two can play at this AI game, Owen.
That was insane.
Mine wasn't AI. Mine was Google.
So our buddy Justin Termini joins us. He's the host of NBA Today with Eddie Johnson in the afternoon over on SiriusXM NBA Radio. We love Justin. Justin's almost like a pony for us, but and I love pony too. So I mean, what the hell, right? He asked one of us to come on, and I went, "Have Lima come on. I'm busy." No, you're just a better guest for NBA Radio. Let's be honest here. You know more basketball coaches. You know more basketball.
It was going to be my NBA TV debut as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
Former home of Rick Kamla.
Don't do that. Who did you get bumped for?
A coach with a 34% winning percentage.
I thought it was 346.
To be exact.
But I don't know who. I swear, I made sure to not look at my phone or look at the text thread to see who it was. Who did you get bumped for? I wonder if I would even know the coach who he coaches.
This was a big name a few years ago, and then he faded in obscurity quick.
So that tells me between the two that I found who it was.
It's David Fizdale.
Oh, my God. David Fizdale's I would have bumped you for David Fizdale.
He coached the Knicks. He was one of 40 straight coaches for the Knicks.
Yeah. Well, he had the soundbite, right?
Which one was that?
For data.
Take that for data.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like David Fizdale.
I don't know if he didn't have that take that for data soundbite. I would remember who he was.
I liked it. No, I remember because he was an assistant with Golden State at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he did some stuff with Memphis and got fired kind of unceremoniously.
Yeah, but because I remember he would be on the bench in them Golden State games, and I would get mad because he'd be giving the refs hell. And I'm like, that's Steve Kerr's job. That's not yours. No, because they're always big on, and I would get mad at the refs for how do you allow that when you say never to allow assistants? Yeah, but I like David Fizdale. I would have bumped you for him.
Well, because they were going over Spoelstra's 800th win. That was going to be the reason to have him on.
What a great basketball season you guys are
having. This is
the same league you wonder why aren't they going to watch the players?
I think you bring on the firefighters that put out the flames at his house before you bring on this guy.
Come on.
That's what I'm getting bumped for. Come on, NBA TV. Come on, Termini.
Bringing up house fires for you, psycho.
Put on someone who has some valuable information.
David Fizdale has plenty of valuable information.
He also probably owns a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, let's talk about what happened to the Miami Heat in the first round of the playoffs last year.
Am I thinking of David Fizdale when he was...
You're thinking of Wayman Tisdale.
Wayman Tisdale.
Fizdale.
Fitzdale and the Tantrums. I think they were performing here before.
Yeah. We gave away tickets.
Yeah.
It was Golden State. That's right. No, it was with the Heat, the first iteration with LeBron. That's right. That's where I used to get mad at David Fizdale. I would have bumped you for him.
Oh,
absolutely.
Stop it.
He knows what he's talking about. He seems like an entertaining guest. He gives entertaining press conferences. I would have bumped
scared
you.
already because he knows I would have gone after him.
You would have gone after Termini. It would have been great.
Because he would have brought up in his 1,000th straight interview, he would have brought up that Kevin McHale or Robert Parrish broke his foot and played in the game. And I'm like, that's how bad the sport was back then, that you could break your foot and still play defense.
Yeah, it's like one of them.
Good luck trying that today. When the 30th guy in a roster can shoot threes from midcourt.
He is kind of like that. Like one of them stories about, like, you ever been to a diner at 6 a.m. and there's the same old guys who are retired and like, oh, yeah, I saw Rick. And they're like, Rick telling you the story again about the bear? Yeah, he told me a story about the bear. Yeah. Yeah, and how he was on the front porch. Yeah, he was on the front porch.
That one.
His wife started yelling. Gladys was yelling and all that stuff. Yeah, that's how terminal he is. LeBron doesn't have to make me care. He has to make you care. I care. I point right at Owen. He has to make Owen care. We got in a very big argument earlier in this show today. What did you say?
Well, you said LeBron.
Said LeBron.
What?
You said LeBron.
I have to make LeBron care?
No. You said LeBron has to make you care.
No, sorry.
And that's because
Lima has to make you care.
That's how good Donovan Mitchell is. Correct. That's how good that Donovan is, that he's making you think LeBron. Come on.
Oh, my God. Sorry, I was distracted by a text I got. Lima has to make you care. He doesn't have to make me care. I already care. He's already got me. Lima, take it away.
Yeah, I am a little surprised. Not how disappointed people are at the Cavs start. It's been disappointing. Also, man, it's been a mash unit, game in and game out, and then trying to manage the Darius Garland situation. This is going to be tough all year, so I understand if you're like, well, I want to see the team that's supposed to win the Eastern Conference, which, as of today, they are still the favorites in the Eastern Conference. What I just am asking, and it was very concerning to me hearing the responses in this room from Ken and Owen and seeing a little bit of what I see on social media, like, you guys are missing spectacular second best player all time in a Cavs uniform performances from Donovan Mitchell.
Anything from Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell himself came out and said that 82-0, it wouldn't matter. None of it matters. He said it to me at the end of last season. He told me this season doesn't matter. The regular season doesn't matter.
It's got you there, bud.
I'm not missing anything.
But did they matter with LeBron?
That's not what we're talking about. LeBron never said none of it's going to matter.
Well, the way he played, I mean, the guy took a 2-week hiatus.
He didn't say it.
He took a 2-week hiatus
Donovan
from
Mitchell
the team.
came out and told me it doesn't matter. He told me not to care.
Winner.
And here we are.
Lot of men dinner.
Chickens, they're roosting. We're here.
But wouldn't you say, like we've always said, going to a basketball game and seeing the guys is just different from watching it on TV?
Yeah, of course
it just
it is. Of course it is.
Especially like good seats at a Cavs game. Donovan Mitchell this year is having a LeBron season.
Great, but it's still December.
Great.
I know they've played a quarter.
Dismiss it.
Hey, man, I'm just telling you how he would feel. Excuse me, I don't need to speak for you. You go ahead and speak. I already know how you feel. You don't got to sell to me.
23 games, right? 22 games so far. He's having an MVP season through 22 games. Who was really lighting it up last year until January? Darius Garland, right? Tried to convince me that Darius Garland was worth seeing last year. And then I got to see what I saw. Yeah, and now he can't even play basketball.
Well, he can
without
play.
a metal plate in his shoe.
You know
who else can't do things without metal plates in their shoes? Anybody working in construction.
Boom.
They got to wear steel-toe boots.
Yeah, they don't care about the beginning of the Cavs season.
And they don't care if I come see them.
Because, one, they've already seen the Cavs lose in the postseason 3 separate times when they were favored. I don't know if they were favored against the Knicks, but still. Oh, and they weren't favored against the Celtics. Okay, they at least saw them once lose when they were favored. The other part of it is that, again, what Owen just said. Donovan Mitchell said they can go 82-0 and people won't care. So I don't know why you're acting surprised or even to some point indignant with the fans over not going to a game. I think they're going to the games. The tickets are just $10.
Let me stop you there, though. The other thing that, as a casual Cavs fan, right, I like the Cavs. I don't care about the rest of the NBA, right? I've also wanted, after 3 straight years of disappointment in the playoffs, I've wanted some change to happen, and with the main roster, not with the guys coming off the bench. They have not given me any change. I want some sort of change.
Oh, so
I'm not getting any of it.
You're saying they needed to make
I've been an advocate
needed to be disrupted.
I'm cool if Darius Garland goes. I've been like that, and I know you've been big on him, but he's not even playing now, so.
I've been big on him as a regular season guy. I've had my questions about the playoffs.
Well, he's a disappointment in the playoffs, and I think it really matters if you win in the playoffs. That's where they give the championships at.
I just think it's a rough bar, and I asked if it's because the Cavs have won a title and they had LeBron on, that now this team is paying the price, that everything's going to be compared to that. We've seen what it is like to be at the pinnacle. And now, Ken, you have said consistently that it would be awesome to get to the NBA Finals without LeBron. Because everything this organization...
It would prove to me that they could do it without him. Like, I was afraid when they did it, real quick, I was afraid when they did it that he would not... No, he's not a boogeyman. The other one was a boogeyman. That they proved that they could do it without the greatest player in the world basically in history to ever do it.
You don't think LeBron's a boogeyman for every other Cavalier that's walked through the door since he was here?
I called Deshaun Watson playing this year a boogeyman. I look at LeBron. He's a legend. He's an icon.
I agree with those are also true. I'm not dismissing what he did.
But you're saying
I'm saying that everyone has to live up to him for the rest of the existence of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have to live up to him until somebody does it. And nobody's even been able to sniff it.
What I am saying is Donovan Mitchell right now is playing like LeBron James.
And his team is not having the success that LeBron James.
Well, that's actually where I think I disagree.
So he's not playing like LeBron James. Because LeBron James would have got any of those teams into the finals. Because I saw him do it in 2006. I saw him do it in 2014 when, Kevin Love went out and then Kyrie broke his kneecap. Like, I've seen it with LeBron.
I've seen Donovan put up...
Donovan's had his opportunities to do it and hasn't done it.
Donovan has put up some transcendent playoff performances, though. He has put up 50.
And his teams didn't win. I don't care about transcendent playoff performances if your teams lose.
He's right about that. After the break, I do disagree with you about something. Can I tell you about it after the break?
No.
Give me 5 minutes.
Okay, fine.
All right, I want to disagree with you about one thing. I'm on your side on this, but I want to disagree with you on one thing in 5 minutes. That and... Speaking of disagreements, I have found something that anti-Shador fans and Shador fans can agree on. And I found it yesterday morning. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Finally, you agree. Coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Q.
Where Cleveland gets engaged. Visit peterjewelers.com today.
When there's news that affects the Cleveland sports fan, Daryl Ryder is on top of every headline. Listen to his reports on the station with the most local sports talk in town. 92.3 The Fan, powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Dan Wetzel coming up at 8:20. We'll talk college football with him. Are the Buckeyes a Death Star? Are they just at a different level than anybody else? Lima says they're light years ahead of everybody else. Are they the new Golden State Warriors?
Was that annoying to hear?
No, I don't. We'll find out with Dan Wetzel coming up at 9:22 this morning. And is Sharon Moore already on the hot seat again? Or is he on the hot seat up at Michigan now?
Well, that could be a major domino.
So I disagree with Owen on one thing. Like he brought up, I'm going to get to this thing I wanted to say about the Browns and Shador fans and anti-Shador fans here in just a moment, because you guys finally agree on something, you don't even realize it. But I disagreed with Owen on one thing. I think that Lima is trying to sell a product that a lot of fans aren't buying right now. Regular season Cavs basketball. If tickets are down to $10, but he doesn't need to sell that to me. I'm going to watch regular season Cavs basketball.
There's a difference, too.
What?
Regular season before Christmas.
Well, there you go. That's fair, too. That's fine. Before the end of football season, Cavs basketball, if you want to go that far. But one thing that I did disagree with, Owen, I don't think it's always going to be that way. I think to a certain level, you're right. With 30-somethings, 40-somethings, even 50-year-olds. And plus, I think that they've already seen LeBron. You've seen the greatest of the generation and arguably the greatest to ever do it. And I fought it for so long because I didn't want to say it, because once you say it, you really can't take it back. But he's the best to do it. And once they see that, it's like, hey, man, everybody else pales in comparison. Like, you're telling me Donovan Mitchell's having a great season. Hey, that's great. I saw LeBron. Like, so-and-so's having a great season. Yeah, but LeBron played here for 11 years. Yeah,
but you're thinking about, like, the ones that can get through that. Like, Axel never saw LeBron as a Cavalier, right?
That's true.
So he's 10, right?
And that's where I'm going with it.
He's not buying tickets, though.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with it. It's going to take time. I didn't see Jim Brown play. And there were plenty of people. Now, I understand. I was 8 years old when the team moved. It was a different thing. I get it. I never saw Jim Brown play. There are plenty of people, sadly, they're dying off, that said he was the greatest football player who ever lived. And that if he wasn't the greatest football player who ever lived, Otto Graham was the greatest football player who ever lived. I mean, it was that type of standing with these guys. And I never saw him play. But I became a hardcore Browns fan, and I know the team's bad, but I want to see. You become a hardcore Cavs fan. The NBA is still good with young people. And my son, okay, well, LeBron's, he sees them now, but he's a ghost story.
I don't know. I've heard my kids having debates, and they're 12 and almost 14 about who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael Jordan. They're doing it in the back of my car. I'm going, what do either of you know? You didn't watch either of them. Yeah. You don't know. You didn't live it.
Exactly.
I guess Donovan will have a chance to become that guy for that generation. 10 years from now?
I think it takes more time.
We could be dead 10 years from now, Ken.
Yeah. I think it's going to take more time to get past the LeBron thing with that generation, because eventually they'll be able to buy tickets, we hope, and it will be past that. Which brings me to another thing about the Browns. Come to think of it. That thought right there, where we haven't had a quarterback since Bernie. My son obviously never saw Bernie play. Your kids never saw Bernie play. I saw Bernie play at the end, and I still thought he was great because everybody around me thought he was great. And then we were all mad at Belichick and wanting to send his house on fire because he got rid of Bernie. Even my dad, who's a Dolphins fan, loved Bernie Kosar. But this is where we're at. You see a team that's as desperate as you've ever seen any team for a quarterback ever, for one position, as desperate as anything ever. I said something yesterday, and I knew it was going to get hammered on the internet. I didn't think it should have been set up that way, but I knew I was going to get hammered, and I did. We had a caller, and I was actually nice to the caller, but I said, hey, you got 5 more games to prove them different. Because it's not, you guys got this mixed up. It's not, we have Shador until someone proves us otherwise. It's, you are taking a quarterback until Shador proves us otherwise. And through 2.5 games, he hasn't proven you otherwise. He's played better than a 5th-round pick, but he's not played like a guy that you would set your watch to in your franchise. And we played some audio during the break about another show that picked us up and had some jokes about me, but agreed with you wholeheartedly, and we might play those by the end of the show, that like a new regime...
bedfellows.
Yeah, a new regime is not going to sign up for this. And I've told you guys that a million times. It's not. I don't want it to be this way. Guys, this is the way it is. Tone, this is the way it is. I'm going to do a little preaching here. This team lost for 2 straight years to get Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. This team then turned around and gave $230 million guaranteed to Deshaun Watson. This team then stockpiled picks in round 1 for next year and still took 2 QBs, one of which was a lottery ticket in this year's draft. They are more desperate than any team out there for quarterbacks. If you don't think that they're taking a quarterback next year, as of right now, you are lying to yourself, guys. You're just lying to yourself. They are going to do I think they'll do whatever is necessary. If Shedeur Sanders doesn't turn it up and look like he's the franchise quarterback, which, again, to a lot of people, to the Shedeur fans is a bad thing because that means they're going to keep Kevin Stefanski because you're going to win games over the next 5 games. The anti-Shedeur fans, the Browns fans, who are maybe annoyed by Shedeur fans jumping in on their football team and all the other things, you're just afraid to take a quarterback because this team has failed with so many different quarterbacks before. We are all gun-shy on taking a quarterback. And by the way, that's fair. I'm terrified to take a quarterback, but I just know they're going to do what's necessary. Dane Brugler, the Athletic, he just posted his latest mock. He has the Browns trading their Jacksonville pick and trading up and going after Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall, with this Tennessee team, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to tell you guys know this owner, you know this football team. I'd be willing to say it ain't just going to be the Jacksonville pick. It'll probably be even another pick coming up in this upcoming draft. And I wouldn't put it past them to give up the first-round pick in 2027 to make sure if they love a guy that much, this team is going to do what's necessary. And it's for the reasons that I just said yesterday. I love Carson Schlesinger. He's great. He looks like he's going to be a Brown for a long time. Myles Garrett, we're only going to have him at his zenith here for a very short period of time. Maybe he can play till he's 40, but he ain't going to be at his zenith like this till he's 40 years old. You've gone through so many players where you said, what if? And they are obsessed with finding a quarterback. So I may have reservations. I really don't have reservations about Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore for that matter. I mean, there's a few here and there, but, we have plenty of time to discuss them. I've just resigned myself to the thought that they're going to take a QB, and you better get ready for it. Or you better hope, if you don't like Shedeur Sanders or you love Shedeur Sanders, you better hope he balls out and makes Cam Ward look unplayable on Sunday. And then he continues to do it the next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. That's your only way out of that, because it's going to happen. They are obsessed with finding that position, and they're going to do what's necessary to find it. And if that continues to mean making mistakes and setting their future on fire to do so, they're going to do it. You have no retort to that, by the way. You can jump in anytime. I know I've done some preaching here. I'm sorry.
I know we got to go, and we got Dan Wetzel coming up. The only thing I disagree with is...
You can correct me next if you want to.
I just don't see anything scary about drafting a quarterback that everybody is going to have as a top 5 pick, maybe number 1 overall. What's scary about that? Isn't that exciting? Yeah, they could bust. Everybody could bust. Any quarterback. And any bridge quarterback could go sour. Look at what's happened lately with Daniel Jones and the Sam Darnold. Baker has come back down. Geno Smith is horrific and going to be out of the league soon. All the bridge quarterbacks that everybody fell in love with, they're not playing well either. So what's scary about drafting an exciting, moldable young man who is going to have a top of the first round grade?
History since 99 scares the bejesus out of all of us. It does. So the people who are sick and tired of arguing about Shedeur Sanders online, who are not Shedeur Sanders fans, who weren't Shedeur Sanders fans before, they're terrified to take another QB. The people who are Shedeur Sanders fans who say they're only Browns fans because of Shedeur Sanders, and if he's out of here, they'll be out of here on the first thing smoking. They don't want to take a new QB. That's the thing you guys got in common. I have found common ground between you. But I'm just going to let you know, you better be rooting for him hard on Sunday, because if he doesn't do it, They ain't going to hand this team over to Dylan Gabriel. They don't want to hand this team back to Deshaun Watson. They may go out and get a bridge quarterback because another team can just say no to what they could do to move up, but they will move heaven and earth to try to get a quarterback, and you know the proof is right there on paper. I didn't say it with the best bedside manner, and I said it very early, but we all know the truth here, guys. Ken Carman, Tone Master General. Dan Wetzel, ESPN 922 on the Fan.
An afternoon drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
Coming up at 9:20, the sensational Dan Wetzel. We'll go into the weeds with him about the college football playoffs. Of course, I got to tell you, I don't start to argue. It's taken all the teeth out. I said yesterday, it's kind of like a giant episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? They just make it up as they go. The points really don't count, and they figure out who's going to be in the playoff at the end. And I don't have the passion to argue between 12 and 13. I don't care enough. I'm from the wrong part of the country. Ohio State's they're too good. They'll be in. I don't imagine with 12 teams, they'll eventually go to 16. They'll probably go to 24, which sucks, but they'll eventually go to 24. I can never foresee a scenario where Ohio State's going to be 24 or 25 or 15 or 16 or 17 or 12 or 13. I don't think that'll ever happen. So the argument for me doesn't work. And I'm not an SEC guy. I think that's kind of stupid where you're just fans of this one team and then, well, we gotta root for the entire SEC now. We got to get all these teams in here. No, Ohio State fans don't care about that. They don't make an argument for Michigan. They don't make an argument for Penn State. They don't make an argument for anything. It'd be nice to be coming out of the best conference. I'll grant you that. They're not arguing for everybody else. And so the rest of it's an internet echo chamber that I really... Hey, man, I argue about the Browns every day, and they ain't going nowhere, so I understand that this is pretty hypocritical coming from me. But 12 to 13, it's like, win enough games, get in. If you don't get in, too bad. I don't find an argument about it. So I might ask Dan a little bit about that, but there's plenty of other things I want to get into.
The wrench that was thrown in this year is obviously Miami. Miami, who ends up beating Notre Dame, but losing 2 games that were really bad and are not in their conference championship game because of the big tie up top and everything. And so they get left out. And it's like, well, why do we play the games? But that game was played way back at the beginning of the year in late August?
I think it's always been known that timing is everything. Go back to the 2007 college football season for that. Timing is everything. And perceived notions are everything. Money is even more important than that. Miami's a big program. You're not Notre Dame.
But they both have 2 losses, one is not. Notre Dame's not in a conference championship game either.
If you really wanted to be nasty about it and say, hey, would Miami beat JMU? More than likely. Would they beat Tulane? More than likely. Okay, I can hear that. I don't want to call it a charity case for those 2 teams possibly getting in. One of those teams getting in. Yeah, they'd probably beat them, but. Again, there's timing, there's money, there's cachet, there's all those things. And I live in Northeast Ohio. I work in Cleveland. 90% of the fan base here are Ohio State fans. It ain't their problem. They don't care. It ain't their problem. I could fight about just about anything tooth and nail, but I do get to the point of, if you're 13th in, sorry. You're in the ACC, sorry. Get yourself in a better conference. I know you already tried that already. It doesn't wash with me. What does Shedeur have to do to hold on to this job? Here we are arguing about things going, I don't know if this is really going to matter in the long term. Maybe it won't matter in the long term. What does he have to do? Is it realistic? Because I asked you at the beginning of the show, actually around 6:20, you can go back and listen to it. I asked, is it 5 games left? Is that a realistic amount of time for the Browns to give a yes? I think they'd have plenty of time to say no. I'm starting to worry that they might be already telling you no, and you guys just don't want to see it, or you haven't seen it yet. When we're playing musical offensive linemen and getting that all figured out, if he were Cam Ward, unless you think your offensive linemen are just terrible, I'm not just trying to figure out offensive linemen in front of Cam Ward. If they would have drafted Shedeur 2nd overall, I would have went crazy if they were doing this with Tevin Jenkins and Wyatt Teller. But he's a 5th-round pick to them. The NFL thinks differently than what all of us think. If you're mad about it, you have every right to be mad about it because maybe they're trying some things out and they're hosing your guy. But I look at this and I go, okay, if we're trying some things out here, how much can he really show? And I don't think another coach or another general manager is going to come in and go, yep, sign me up for all this. Let's get going with the guy who I was a part of a different organization and I passed on so many times over.
Yeah, I do not see a scenario outside of Shedeur dazzling here down the stretch. And I think even the Shedeur fans, because of the situation, are like, this isn't exactly
set up. You don't know if he's going
to
have the chance. Exactly, he's not set up to do so.
Plus, what's the weather? Although I think now they're saying dry on Sunday, but still very cold. We'll see. But it's not setting up, especially once, he has to go up against the Bears. And I know the Bills' defense isn't great, and Pittsburgh's defense isn't great right now, but it's still formidable teams that are trying to save their playoff lives that are going to be, going up against you with good coaching and all of that stuff. So it's not going to be easy for Shedeur. I think this week could be his biggest chance. Outside.
I think this is a huge game for him. I think this is a huge game.
He can, by the numbers, outplay Cam Ward because Cam is going up against Myles Garrett and that defensive line, and he has struggled all year regardless of who he's gone up against. And Shedeur is going up against the Titans defense that is in the bottom third and almost every respectable number. So I think outside of dazzling down the stretch, he's not going to be just given the starting job next year.
Then how would you want...
At the very least, he'd be brought back and have to compete.
And that'd be okay. At this moment, I'd be okay with that. But
if I'm Shedeur fans, I would sign up for that.
But if you're competing, quote unquote, we already know what a competition really is in the NFL.
Yeah.
If they do what Dane Brugler wrote where they trade up for Fernando Mendoza, that is no competition. There will be no competition.
Yeah, the only question
They'll
would
call
be...
it a competition because they love to make us all go crazy, but it's no competition.
The only thing I wonder is, would they slow play Mendoza? Like, would Mendoza guaranteed start week one? Because now there's mounting evidence that there are different ways to do this. You can either start guys right away,
you know what then I'm
and
thinking.
be like Jaden Daniels, which worked out, and CJ Stroud, or many others that did not work out.
The most expensive,
Cam Ward, this is not working out.
The most expensive bridge quarterback in the history of the NFL then would start the season next year for that football team.
Well, then,
if they were to take Fernando Mendoza, if they wanted to do it your way and slow play it, yeah.
Well, so you're saying then Shedeur is third string or just not on the team?
Probably.
Well, then that is not a good situation for him then. Then the Shedeur fans should not want him to stay here.
Yeah, they probably don't want him here to begin with. They probably hate that we're talking about all this, but here we are. But if you wanted to do slow play, Shedeur would still not be a veteran by then. And based on what I've seen so far, there's been some little bit of growth. But I wanted to ask you before, does that mean we just open up this offense against Tennessee on Sunday and really let her rip and see what he's got?
Well, what matters to you? If you're the Browns, is it getting this win, or is it evaluating the quarterback and not just having him manage a game where it's, death by 1,000 screams?
Are they evaluating Tevin Jenkins? Why wouldn't we evaluate other people? I don't think that evaluating a right guard is as important as evaluating a quarterback. I understand that, but I think you get your answer right there. So if we're in evaluation mode, do I open up that offense? Because this is a glorious opportunity for him to look so much better. Cam Ward's team is terrible. They've already fired their guys. They're already looking. It's a zombie staff. It's a zombie team. That team is awful. Their offensive line is terrible. Your defense, as long as you're not playing against your own special teams unit again, Bubba Ventrone's still here. As long as you're not playing against your special teams unit again, you can win this game and win this game handedly. They're terrible at Tennessee. And your defense is so much better than their offensive line. They've given up 48 sacks. 48 sacks. Their right tackle. Go look it up. You can find anything on YouTube right now if you want to. You can find anything on the internet. I swear to God, just go look up right tackle Tennessee. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's awful. It's an awful situation. And if he turns around and hands the ball off, they could win the game. But am I going to see what I need to see out of Shedeur Sanders if I just beat Tennessee? If I just beat Tennessee by turning around and handing the ball off, it might be the right thing to do based on what he knows of the offense, but is that going to be enough to satiate everybody? Like I'm kind of up in the air a little bit. I would still probably want to play it conservative and go, hey, you can get a lot of confidence just by going out and beating a team you're supposed to beat. You beat Las Vegas. They were pretty conservative that way. You were pretty conservative against San Francisco. I don't think that he was necessarily the reason they lost at all. They just handcuffed him in so many ways because the special teams was so terrible and the execution on a fourth down and play was as awful as possibly anybody could ever imagine. So those two things work against you. you could always turn around and hand it off to Quinshon Judkins, and you should be able to run him down and beat him. But is that going to be enough? Do you want to go for the gusto and see him roast the ball down the field? Because I got to go back to another lesson I learned. Remember the game against the Lions with you-know-who, where he just thought he was going to use that team like they were playing Abilene Christian, and he ended up almost losing that game. Well, I can't just turn right around with a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience and decide to light up the Cleveland sky, which will still be cold weather. I don't know how wet it's going to be, like you said. It's still going to be cold weather. He's played in cold weather before. He played in Boulder, Colorado, for crying out loud. You're still playing against pros. So now if I just decide to throw the ball all over the place and he throws a pick or two, God forbid 2 or 3, am I working against am I putting him in the best situation to grow confidence against a bad football team that you should beat on Sunday?
I'm looking forward to this for that reason. I know most people are going to skip over this game, around the NFL and outside of Cleveland because
there's no good analysis anymore, because they just skip over us.
They do, other than Myles Garrett. You're getting a Myles Garrett breakdown, and that's about it. So I need to see more. I'm just being brutally honest, in a win or a loss, I do need to see more than 1 or 2 splash plays from Shedeur, because I think any quarterback, I think almost anybody can. I've joked with you before the Gardner Minshew comparison. Gardner Minshew came in as was he a 6th-round pick?
He was late.
He came in and Nick Foles was ahead of him and broke his collarbone or whatever. And he was thrust into a situation. He didn't get any reps or anything. Mm-hmm. And he came in and looked like a normal starting NFL quarterback. Not a good one, but like a normal starting quarterback. He's got to be way better than that. I mean, he really does as a 5th-round pick to have any kind of priority going forward or to have another team want to give him and his fan base an opportunity. He's got to play better than just a couple splash plays because we all watch the league. Anthony Richardson had some splash plays, 1 or 2 in his starts. That's not enough. And that was a 1st-round pick. Imagine being a 5th-round pick. It's got to be way more. You got to be able to conduct a normal offense, and it can't just be screens either. It has to be you being able to make some reads, process, anticipate throws, throw guys open, all the stuff that quarterbacks are judged on. Because this next rung, Mendoza is already rated higher than you by these scouts. So you're going to be working from a deficit. You got to get going now, and this is the opportunity because you have the better team, and your offense actually can match up against their defense this week for once.
By the way, you reminded me because you mentioned Gardner Minshew. People are watching on YouTube Live. This is a Cougars hoodie. It's not Washington State, as I've gotten several tweets from across the country about. This is a late Catholic Cougars hoodie. Thank you very much. I already made the video. But yeah, watch us on YouTube Live. See our reactions to what Dan Wetzel answers about the Ohio State Buckeyes and going back-to-back and whether or not Julian Saint or Fernando Mendoza will have the Heisman Trophy wrapped up on Saturday night. Dan Wetzel, ESPN, next on The Fan.
The Fan Bud Light.
the Pacers back on Monday night. Meanwhile, Darius Garland is expected back in the lineup for this evening's game. He rested his surgically repaired left big toe Monday night against Indiana. Don't miss the Browns preview show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Never mind. All right, I'll bring on Dan Wetzel, ESPN senior writer, college football playoffs almost here. Hello, Dan.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Nothing, just shouting in the background as I try to ask if he wanted to bring you on since he's the one who's closer with you and I'm not.
Well, I like you too, Ken. So, don't let Lima do too much with this.
Well, we had played a clip, or we're going to play a clip of Jason Whitlock weighing in on who he likes more between the two of us.
Actually, you shared that, and I saw that.
You shared that?
I just tweeted it out, yeah. And I commented, strange bedfellows.
To tell you how boring my morning's going so far, as I awaited the exciting appearance on your show, I watched some of it. It was a very long clip. I got, no offense, guys, I got a little bored of it. But they played a little clip of your show. It was big. It was Shador. I mean, do you even have time to talk about something other than Shador on this show?
Someone tweeted, they call me Fatlock, and somebody called him the original Fatlock. Come on. Jeez. Personal appearances. Not sure. Dan doesn't know about me putting on my suit that's a little too small, and that's hard to get the button closed, and I got to go in there and adjudicate everything going on.
Well, now he's got a battle with Kathy Bates.
I got a battle. Kathy Bates. I mean, good God, I saw misery. I know what she'll do to me. All right, Dan, it's time to you ask him actual questions instead of this stupidity, please.
Before we get into all the craziness in college football, I felt really icky. I sounded like a Golden State Warrior fan from years ago, or many of the media mouthpieces. I said Ohio State is light years ahead right now of the rest of college football. And I don't like how that came out, but doesn't it feel like, Dan, nobody has navigated this crazy transition in college football better than Ohio State, which is crazy to say after a year ago. Maybe some of us wanted Ryan Day fired.
How was it exactly 1 year ago? I would agree with you. I think they have the best program going, right, if we want to call it that. And obviously they had the best team playoff-wise last year, and they sure could have the best team this year. I think what Ohio State has done very well is obviously once Urban Meyer got there, they became a national recruiting force. So they bring in a ton of talent, and that's the key. You still have to recruit. Today is the first day of the early signing period. You have to have those guys so that you're not just relying all on the portal. And then they have navigated and made really good decisions in the portal on key players, whether it's a quarterback or it's a running back or this or that, and they fill those gaps that they would have had that would cost them in the past. And they've done it perfectly, and then they've invested in keeping their guys back. So I think different schools have done a good job at different parts of it. Georgia still recruits at a super high level. Michigan was really good at keeping their guys. That's why they won that title. Maybe like an Ole Miss or something's really good at picking guys out of the portal. I think Ohio State does all three of those at a better level than anyone else does all three. And if you can do that, you're going to be really tough to beat. And with look, I think everybody in the state of Ohio, I'm not telling anybody, it's an incredible place to go play. It's a great school. It's a great city to play in. They've got tons of fans. They got tons of money. There's no reason they shouldn't be this good, but credit to Ryan Day and everyone down in Columbus for navigating this probably better than any other school has over the last 3 years.
Go ahead.
Well, that brings us to a matchup coming up now, the conference championships. Maybe if you asked me a year ago, I'd said, I'm not sure about the relevance of these games going forward. But yet there could be a Heisman on the line this week. I'm not sure if a bye is on the line. And you can make the argument that regardless, as long as it's a close game, if it is a close game on Saturday night, both should still be 1-2 removed from that. But do you think we could be on our way out of these conference championship games?
there's a lot of money at stake, and it's hard to get college sports to really do anything, right? So, but I do think the relevance of these games is a problem. And I would say this, if we could get rid of these conference games and get the playoff, we could have get the playoffs started sooner. We could have 2 rounds of the playoff before January 1st and then have a semifinal then and then finish